sports.
We are Blackmore. We are San Diego.
Petco Park, first time we've had the marine layer in the homestand as we complete this Dodger series. Yonder Alonso with his final swings in the cage. And how about Carl Crawford lead off? And he is leading the National League in hitting coming into the game tonight. As we welcome you to beautiful Petco Park. Rubber game of this opening three-game series between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. And good evening, everyone. Along with Mark Grant, Dick Enberg, we're pleased that you've joined us. The Padres won the opener 9-3 and almost pulled out a dramatic ninth-inning win last night. 4-3, the Dodgers prevailed, and now can the Padres win their first series of the season? The bright spot for the Padres in the homestand, Nick Hundley, a home run on opening day and 4 for 4 last night.
He was hot yesterday, but what the Padres need, Dick Enberg, is for another Padre or 2 or 3 or 4 to get hot. Watch Nick Hundley swing. Probably 4 of the nicest swings we've seen all season compared to last year. 2 fastballs. Another fastball, you betcha. There's hit number 3. Another fastball. Here's the key. The Padres need to key on the fastball tonight and crush the mistakes, utilize the center diamond, because that's exactly what Nick Hundley did last night. Hopefully he can stay hot and continue to swing the bat like he did yesterday.
And he'll be taking cuts against the $147 million right arm of Zack Greinke of the Dodgers. He was 15-5 last year with Milwaukee and the Angels that had a very good opening outing with the Dodgers this year.
I'm not going to lie to you. The Padres are going to have their work cut out for him. Zack Greinke, former Cy Young Award winner, he has 4 quality pitches. But remember I mentioned the fastball to Nick Hundley? I think these Padre hitters are going to look for the fastball off of Greinke early in the count. Why? Pinpoint control. Righties down and away. Lefties down and away. If the Padres try to pull the fastball, they're going to have trouble. They got to think opposite field on the fastball tonight against Zack Greinke.
And on the mound for the Padres will be the veteran Jason Marquis. Marquis has had outstanding success against the Dodgers in his 14-year Major League career. We're ready for baseball at Petco Park in San Diego.
Welcome back to Padres baseball. Carlos Quentin back in the lineup tonight. Bud Black says his wrist is a little sore, but he's ready to go. Also ready to go tonight's starter for the Padres, Jason Marquis. He's had 2 days to watch this Dodgers lineup, and he's formulated a game plan. Of course, he's also seen a lot of these hitters before. He understands the importance of going long in this game and saving the bullpen.
Pride myself on taking the ball every 5 days, going as long as I could, and if that means going out there and extending myself a little bit to help the bullpen, I'm all for it. But no extra pressure. I've been in this situation before. I only can control so much, and just take one pitch at a time.
A quality start from Jason Marquis would be a welcome break from a bullpen that's gotten quite a bit of work recently. Well, this is a pitching matchup you don't want to miss. It's Jason Marquis against Zack Greinke on the mound. First pitch coming your way. It's Dick Enberg and Mark Grant with the call.
Racing Schumacher, and he makes the catch. Oh my! A fly ball hit well to left field. That's carrying to the wall and is gone. And we're set on a cool night after almost midsummer-like conditions last night. Ball carrying very well, and this is the Marine weather, the cover that we expect this time of the year. We'll see how it impacts play, especially with the new outfield dimensions in right field here at Petco Park. The Dodgers bring out another of their outstanding starters, Zack Greinke. The Dodgers coming into the game #1 in the major leagues, starting pitchers with a 1.73 ERA.
And if both pitchers are on their game, we could see a pitcher's duel. One thing that the Padres starters, it's a little nugget when Jason Marquis takes them out here. They've given up 9 home runs. Let's see if Jason Marquis can keep the ball in the ballpark. Should be an interesting ball game, the final game of the 3-game set.
Marquis in his career is 6-4 against the Dodgers with an excellent ERA, 2.58. And let's look first at tonight's Dodger lineup, brought to you by Hyundai. Carl Crawford continuing on a tear at the start of the season, hitting .464 to lead the National League. Then Ellis, Kemp, Adrian Gonzalez cleanup. Andre Ethier in right. A.J. Ellis moves up to the #6 spot in the order. Hit the 2-run homer last night. Luis Cruz at third, Justin Sullers the shortstop, and Zack Greinke, a good hitter, on the mound. And for the Padres, their defense brought to you by Aramco Mortgage. Quentin, Maven, and Venable left to right in the outfield. Cody Ransom starts at third tonight with Jerko at second. Cabrera the shortstop, Alonso at first. Nick Hundley behind the plate for Jason Marquis.
Well, Jason Marquis, tonight's scouting report brought to you by Jaguar of San Diego. He added the changeup. There was a nice little article in the UT during spring training talking to Trevor Hoffman. A big key. Be economical to go deep into the ball game. How do you acquire doing that? Quick outs and no walks, and also keeping the ball in the yard for Jason Marquis.
His second start at Colorado, he went 6 innings, allowed 5 runs, but only 2 of them were earned. Did give up a couple of home runs and admitted afterwards that he should have used his sinker more.
But one thing we could look at tonight, Dick, a mechanical adjustment on the mound, on the rubber. Jason Marquis has moved over towards the first base side. He used to go towards the third base side. He's going to have more command away to righties and down and into lefties. So we'll keep an eye on that foot position on the pitcher's plate.
Some of the clouds moving in, a bit of chill in the air tonight. Some of the fans welcoming some blankets and jackets. As Marquis looks in, gets a sign from Nick Hundley. Carl Crawford starts it for the Dodgers. Hitting .464. Homered to lead off the game last night. Going opposite field. And takes a strike. Crawford, a brilliant high school athlete in his youth in Houston, Texas. He was an all-star in all 3 major sports. Averaged 26 points a game in basketball. Was all-state quarterback in football. And obviously a brilliant baseball player. And he starts the game with a base hit. Maven in left center, cuts it off and gets it in, and Crawford holds with a long single. Goodness, he's 14 for 29.
Seeing the ball extremely well out of the pitcher's hands, using the whole field. That's the 2 things that really stick out when I see Carl Crawford early in the season. Open stance, squares up, and look, it's just upper body and arms. A lot of hitters will try to pull that ball and muscle it. Not Carl Crawford. He knows he's got to get on base. Just a little flare to left center field to start it off.
Good pitch by Marquis. Yeah. Was tailing away. Mark Ellis, the second baseman. .357 his average thus far. 35-year-old veteran, one of the few out of the state of South Dakota to make it to the big leagues. Played his college ball at Florida. Crawford there at first base, now 5 for 9 in the series against the Padres. He also had a triple last night. Ellis a good hit and run man. Lifted to center. Maven up a few steps. 1 away. Brings up center fielder Matt Kemp. The good news for Marquis, he's had terrific success against Kemp and Ethier. Between the 2 of them, they're 5 for 42 against Marquis.
Well, hopefully the adjustment on the mound helps Jason Marquis as Matt Kemp strolls up to home plate. See where Jason Marquis' foot is? It's on the first base side of the rubber. He used to be here. That's the third base side. That's going to give him a better opportunity to dot that outside corner to Matt Kemp. He is in a straight line with that outside corner. Easier to get that release point out for the sinker. Like that right there. That was a perfect example. First base side of the rubber, and remember, you just have to be in contact with the plate, the pitcher's plate right there. And if you drew a direct line from that point where his foot is towards the outside of home plate, that's exactly where he is in line to throw the baseball. That was another great pitch.
Jumps in front of Kemp, 2 strikes.
Now picture yourself as a pitcher, if you're on the third base side of the rubber, Dick, and you've got to try to hit the outside corner to a righty, you've got to really throw across your body. But now that he's in straight line, he's going to be more free and easy out in front. The last 2 pitches have been absolutely beautiful.
Ooh. A little high greeting from Marquis. Just to keep Kemp honest in his positioning in the batter's box.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Coming up and in. That's how you move the feet a little bit. A little close shave. Now, Jason Marquis can elect to go to the slider. He can go to the split finger. He can go to the fastball away.
I'd like to see him throw another one of those sinkers right on that low outside corner. One out, Crawford at first. Crawford not running the way he did as a young player coming up with Tampa. He led the American League 3 times in stolen bases. He has 432 career steals. Got it. Slider. First strikeout for Marquis.
What a great way to set up Matt Kemp and get the strikeout. We talked about being on the first base side of the rubber right there rather than here. Okay, now he's got a direct line. Look at where he lands. It's a direct line. That was a slider, but when you look at the outside of the plate, it's almost like throwing down a straight line. You don't have to throw across your body. Perfectly executed by Marquis.
Adrian Gonzalez, the ex-Padre, 5 years here, the Star in San Diego. Takes it away, ball 1. In those 5 years, he had 24 homers, then 30, 36, 40, and 31. A lot of them to left field. .393 hitter to start. Off speed and 2-0 the count. Fans booing Adrian Gonzalez, Mark Grant, both on opening day and last night particularly so. Why are they booing? Are they booing because he's a Dodger? Are they booing because he left San Diego?
I think because he's a Dodger, quite frankly. And you know what? It's part of being a fan. And you know, I remember growing up when I had a favorite player.
Hooking down the line. If it's fair, it's gone. And Gonzalez punishes his former teammates with a 2-run home run early. And Padre pitching continues to give up home runs. That's the 14th homer of Padre pitching in 8 games plus an inning.
Well, to any hitter at the big league level, you fall behind 2-0, there's a chance that you can flirt with disaster. That looked like a cutter. Either a cutter or a flat slider. Watch him get the hands through. Hands in towards the jersey, get the fat part of the bat out in front, keeping it fair. That's a big key to keeping the ball fair. If you catch it too out front, you're going to hook it foul. And Adrian's always been good at doing just that.
His first homer of the season, and it was a good one. In terms of length, no doubt about it. Here's Ethier, 320 his average. 10-game hitting streak going back to last year and including the first 7 games that he's played this season. And last night a leadoff homer by Crawford and then a 2-run homer in the second inning from Ellis to give the Dodgers a 3-0 lead, and the Padres never could catch up. Came close in the 9th and fell short with the tying and winning runs aboard in the 9th in a 4-3 loss.
Dick, getting back to your point regarding Adrian, remember Adrian Gonzalez, he was traded. He wasn't a free agent. He was traded to Boston. He was traded, you know, from Texas to San Diego, so on and so forth. Never became a free agent. I think the booze because he's wearing the Dodger blue. I think it's just natural for San Diego fans. It's being a fan here in San Diego.
It's that I think they feel forsaken too. It's not that it was Gonzalez's call. I mean, he traded him. But he knew that coming up he was going to be a free agent. The Padres couldn't afford to keep him. And a $21 million a year contract versus maybe a $10 million deal here in San Diego. Any wise banker would say you got to go east. But he continues to live here. He loves the city, and he and his wife are very generous in their charitable contributions. A walk to 8th here. Here's A.J. Ellis. He's got 5 hits this year, 3 doubles, and a home run. That looked pretty good. Marquis stares in.
Well, you always hate playing catch up, huh? You know, especially 2 outs. Falling behind 2-0, and with one swing, you're down by a deuce.
That's a strike, 1-1.
You know, Jason Marquis is the type of pitcher, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. He could throw 150 pitches in a game, and he'd have no problem with it. He loves to throw. He's like a thoroughbred horse. They love to run.
Line drive, base hit, Ellis. Ethier will stop at second, and the Dodgers threatening to get more here off Marquis in the first inning. 20 pitches from Marquis.
That's good hitting. It's great hitting by A.J. Ellis. Hands through first, inside out swing, hitting it through that big hole on the right side. Good thing for the Dodgers, another base runner. Good thing for Jason Marquis. It's just a single, 2 outs. Need to make a pitch here.
Third baseman Luis Cruz broke out of his slump last night. Was 0 for 17, had a couple of hits. That's a strike. His dad, Luis Sr., he was a Padre in the Padre organization for quite a while. And then in Mexico, a legend down there. 2 on, 2 out, 2 in for the Dodgers in the opening inning. 1-1 now to Cruz. 7th man to bat here in the first inning. Pride of Staten Island, New York. Jason Marquis on the mound. Out in front.
Yeah, thank goodness that slider backed up. And what I mean by that, it didn't break down and away. This pitch actually kind of hangs up there, and then watch it kind of break down and in a little bit into the danger zone to the right-handed hitter. And thank goodness Cruz was way out in front of it. Couldn't do any damage with it. He wanted that pitch down and away.
Didn't go. 2-2 the count.
Well, does he go?
No,
I thought he checked it.
Marquis shakes off Hyundai. Let's see what he wanted. Slider, and the count is full. Crawford led off the inning with a single after Ellis flied out and Kemp struck out. Gonzalez belts his first home run of the season, deep to right. A walk to Ethier and a single by Ellis. 2 on, 2 out. And the runner's off with the pitch. Ground ball to third. Ransom there. Throw across in time. And the Dodgers settle for 2 runs. 3 hits. Lead 2. Gonzalez dents the scoreboard early. Here come the Padres. Cabrera to lead off. And tonight's Padre lineup brought to you by Toyota. Bud Black's set his 9 this way with Cabrera leading off, then Venable. Carlos Quentin back in the lineup with that bruised right wrist. Yonder Alonso cleanup, then Jed Jerko. Nick Hundley hit 6th. Cameron Maben, then Cody Ransom and Jason Marquis.
Now Zack Greinke on the hill for the Dodgers. And tonight's scouting report for Zack Greinke is brought to you by Jaguar of San Diego. And make him notice the fences. How about a little long ball tonight? 11 home runs given up in 2012 and 89 1/3 innings for Zack Greinke. Get him in the stretch because the numbers go way up when he is from the stretch, and avoid the punch out. Put the ball in play. Might see some swing at some fastballs early in the count to avoid that strikeout.
And here goes Greinke to work. Cabrera takes a strike at the knees. And just we're going to keep track of balls that are going to land in the new alignment between the new right field fence and the old wall. But Gonzalez's home run would have been a homer in the old dimensions. High chopper to second. Mark Ellis, sure-handed, one away. Cabrera continues to hit a lot of ground ball outs. Will Venable. Venable hitting .227. Big game on opening day against the Dodgers with a home run and a bases loaded triple, counting for 4 of his 5 RBI seasons on the year. Well, we talked about Marquis and his position on the mound. It looks like Greinke works right from the center of the slot.
Yep. Sweet scoots as well. Nice Nikes. Hopefully the Padre hitters tonight can have Zack Greinke saying Schnikes. Rattling the ball off the wall a little bit, splitting the gaps, getting some base runners. A lot of pitchers will go from the center of the rubber. I like the idea of Marquis going from the first base side.
2-1 now to Venable. Greinke is 29. 6'2" and a slender 195 from Orlando, Florida. Free agent in the offseason. Highest bidder, the Dodgers. Changeup, 2-2.
There's that changeup. Zack Greinke pretty much shows 5 pitches. Fastball, curveball, slider, change. He'll cut that fastball into the left-handed hitters.
First time that he's pitched here at Petco. Swung on and missed. He can hit the corners. 2 away, and tonight's defense is brought to you by Hyundai. We'll check out this pitch, and looked like it might have been just tailing off the plate for his first strikeout. Here is the Dodger defense. Crawford at left, Kemp in center, Ethier in right. Cruz at third, Sellers at short, Ellis the second baseman, and Gonzalez at first. A.J. Ellis behind the plate, Greinke on the mound. Carlos Quentin hit on the wrist 2 days ago on opening day. You see the bandage on that right wrist. It actually has the long sleeve and not noticeable now, but in warm-ups, a little protection there. At the time, it looked pretty serious when Ronald Belisario struck him with a fastball.
Well, it looked like he got to that last pitch and got through it nicely.
Grounded to third, deep at third, backhanded by Cruz. Good play. Greinke retires the Padres in order in the first. 2-0 Dodgers. Baseball on Fox Sports San Diego, brought to you by Petco, where the healthy pets go. And by Farmers Insurance. Contact your local agent at 888-96 Farmers. Jason Marquis will face Justin Sellers, Zack Greinke, and Carl Crawford in the Dodgers' second inning. Sellers 4 for 21. That works out at 190 early as a home run. 27 years of age from nearby Huntington Beach. Replacing Hanley Ramirez till Ramirez comes back from that ligament injury in his thumb.
Yeah, that might be a while, and that's it's a big blow for the Dodgers.
And Marquis falls behind Sellers 3-0. As we said, Jason's had good success against Los Angeles. 2.58 ERA and 6-4 record.
Hey, they really hate to fall behind the number 8 hitter. They end up walking the number 8 hitter. The pitcher comes up, bunts him over, then the top of the order. So you want to face Greinke with nobody on base.
Another strike. 14 big league seasons for Jason Marquis. And in the National League, 110 wins. That's the second most of active pitchers in the National League, 110. Ryan Dempster with 117. Whoa, watch out. The bat goes flying beyond the dugout of the Dodgers. He almost took one of our Fox Sports San Diego cameras with it. Well, that gets expensive.
Out in front of an off-speed pitch. Looked like an off-speed pitch, a slider or a changeup. Oh, Greg Lilly over there and Big Duff, Tommy Lasorda. Hey, he's too familiar with flying bats down the third base line. Remember the All-Star game in Seattle when he was coaching third? Knocked him on his backside.
That look on Lasorda. Hey, you think if that hit me, that would even bruise me? Are you kidding me? Greinke didn't start pitching seriously in high school till he was a senior. He was more known as an outstanding hitter. High school, hit 400 with 31 home runs. He's got 3 as a major leaguer. This is a bad way to go. 3-0 to Sellers. Finally struck him out. Now 3-0 to the pitcher.
Some pretty good hitting pitchers on the Dodger team. We talked about Clayton Kershaw hitting a home run his last start. Zack Greinke swings a good bat.
And he walks him on 4 pitches. Second walk. Top of the order, Carl Crawford.
Well, Jason Marquis got to be fuming right now. And the ratio early on, 36 pitches. And the balls outweigh the strikes.
Never good.
20-16.
Never good. Cool enough that Greinke wants to wear the warm-up. Crawford single to left center to open the game. Not only leads the National League in hitting coming in, but on base percentage, .531 to start tonight. And he's added to that with the single. And his 9th run scored to lead the Dodgers. Did not have a happy time nor a successful one at Fenway with Boston, but he was injured. Had Tommy John surgery last August, but as an outfielder able to come back much quicker. They'll replace him in the late innings because his arm hasn't rehabbed to full strength. Would be a handicap trying to make a throw to the plate. And boy, he certainly isn't any shortcomings with the bat as much as we've seen here in this series.
Just good bat control, and as I mentioned, using the whole field. So hopefully 1 or 2 hopper, one of the middle infielders.
High fly ball deep in right center, but plenty of room now as that ball does die. Maben makes the play.
A little bit ago when we showed Bud Black on the bench, he was positioning Yonder Alonso at first base, playing behind Zack Greinke, the runner. Playing right behind him. Now he's going to hold him on. But Yonder Alonso was just behind him and then retreating back to field his position.
And Greinke bluffed as if he was going to try to steal.
Yes, he did.
Not being held. Mark Ellis flied to center in the first.
He's got good movement on his sinker tonight, Jason Marquis does.
Right down the middle, and Ellis punches a single to center field. That was too good a pitch. Ellis with the fourth Dodger hit, so 2 on 2 out for Los Angeles, and here comes Matt Kemp.
The higher the sinker, the less that it will sink. If it's above the knee or at the kneecaps, yeah, it's going to have a serious bite to it. Look at how it just kind of slices right into the hitting zone. Outer third, elevated for Ellis. And Jason Marquis knows that, his sinker is going to be 87, maybe 88. He takes a little bit off, it might create a little bit more movement. It was just too high of a pitch.
Kemp struck out first time. Greinke at second, Ellis at first. How can he call that a ball? That caught plenty of the plate.
Yeah, Nick Hundley set up away and then had to reach across the plate. You're absolutely right, Dick. Caught the inner third of the plate, but I think because of the way the umpire was set up and the way that Nick Hundley reacted to catch that pitch, he didn't get the call.
Look where this Fox track has it. That's a good strike.
Southland Technology thought it was as well.
Get those folks out to my place. We need a little work on.
Hook you up with some audio and visual
it's so
stuff.
Complicated, since we've gone from that, when you used to turn, you go the knob, you go 2, 3, 4.
3 channels.
Yeah, I had that down pat. Now they got all these other channels.
I was the remote control in our house.
2-0 to Kemp. Jammed him. Jerko throws him out. Dodgers lead 2 more. It's 2-0. Hundley will be one of those coming up in the second.
up early over the Padres, and we will see Nick Hundley later on in this inning. Huge night for him last night, 4 for 4. And Bud Black said they really like where his swing's at right now. He noted the improvement that they saw during spring training and said he's been waiting for Nick to really trust his swing during the regular season. We've seen that over the past couple games. He said they like the athletic look and how he's really using his legs. They hope that success continues, Dick and Mark.
Well, he certainly has here at Petco in the series. The home run on opening day and 4 for 4 last night. The 4th time in his career he's had 4 hits in a game. They were line drives.
No question about it. And getting that bat head in a good position. Not a lot of movement with his head. A quiet approach. And as Laura mentioned, using his legs, utilizing that power, and the center of the diamond as well. He's got to stay hot. Hopefully a couple of other Padres, or 3 or 4 Padres, can join in with Nick Hundley.
Hundley down in the hole. He'll hit after Alonso and Churko here in the last of the second. 2-0 Dodgers. Adrian Gonzalez, first inning 2-run homer. Alonso 8 for 30. Quite an experience last night. First time in his career he played second base, and within an inning played first, second, and third. Padres had used all their available infielders, pinch hitters. Ransom had pinch hit, and Amarista had been pinch hit 4. So Bud Black moved Alonso around. Only San Diego Padre in history to play 3 infield positions in one game. Be a little note in the back of the Padre media guide next year. Line drive, base hit, solid single. Alonso pulling the ball more than last year. We didn't see him hit many balls to dead right field. Most of his shots, doubles, were to left center.
Well, this is one of the few pitches that Zack Greinke gets up in the zone. He elevates it so Yonder Alonso says, hey, he's got a good look at it. Watch out of the hand. He wants it down and away on contact. That's about belt buckle high, outer third. He starts early enough to where he can get out in front and spank it to right field for a single.
So the 2 number 23s there at first base. Little chat, and Jed Jerko takes ball 1.
Hey, speaking about playing other positions, Dick, Buddy Black was in the dugout before the game talking to the scribes, giving some nuggets, and somebody posed the question, hey, who's your third catcher? It's the kid at the plate, Jed Jerko.
Does he know that?
He's a good enough athlete to where Jed Jerko in a pinch could strap on the gear and put down some numbers behind home plate, according to Buddy Black.
Seven for 30 at the start for Jerko, the rookie. 2-1. Nick Hundley on deck.
Oh, John Baker going with the wow, is that the Leave It to Beaver look with the
Eli, the Yale look?
Yeah.
3-1. Greinke wanted that one. So no one out, and Alonso at first base. Jerko can look for something he likes. 3-1. See what Greinke gives him. Pulled to the third baseman. There's 1, and there's 2. Around the horn. Double play. On a 3-1 pitch. Greinke bailed out on a perfect one-hopper to the third baseman, Jose Cruz, or Luis Cruz.
Well, Zack Greinke, there's a reason why he won a Cy Young Award back with the Kansas City Royals. In pinch time, when it's a hitter's count, 3-1, he has the ability to throw the two-seamer. It's a good slide into second base to complete the double play, but concentrate on making a good pitch. Ellis getting those cleats up to get out of the way of the slide. 2
outs to Hundley. See if he can continue with that hot bat that delivered 4 consecutive hits last night.
Well, he's got to think center field again and right field. Greinke just threw a strike on the outside corner. That pinpoint control. Here comes a breaking ball here.
Greinke battled with social anxiety disease throughout his career, the same condition that Khalil Green suffered with. Just social uneasiness and anxiety has improved. Greinke is the son of 2 teachers. 8-year-old, he was an outstanding tennis player, 50-0 as an 8-year-old. Then he lost, never played again.
Wow.
Just misses, and 3-1 again. So he gives a single to Alonso, 3-1 to Jerko, but gets Jerko to bounce into a double play, and now a 3-1 count on Hundley.
Okay, hitters count. Greinke doesn't dime to donut, fastball away.
Right center field, and Hundley has found the gap, and that ball is off the base of the wall, and Hundley has another base hit. 5 straight hits for Nick Hundley, and oh my, how big is that double play that preceded Hundley's double.
That's exactly what I was talking about in our open prior to the game. Greinke likes to pinpoint control the fastball. That one is down and away. Maybe catches too much of the plate, but the concept, the philosophy, the approach of Nick Hundley is taking that fastball and not trying to pull it. Splitting the right center field gap off the base of the wall. Now that's a pretty swing. And a good sound off the bat of Nick Hundley. Great approach.
So Hundley is 6 for the last 7, including a home run on opening day. Maben. Padres are just anxious for their center fielder to start delivering some base hits. He's struggling at 2 for 24.
Well, I think that first pitch swinging, just being too anxious, right? The pitch was up and out of the strike zone. Should be 1-0 to Cameron Maben.
2-out double, Hundley at second. Nice to get one of those runs back right here. Bottom of the second, 2-0 Dodgers. Hundley at second, and a count of 1-1 on Cameron Maben. Popped him up. Back of the plate. A.J. Ellis to the screen. Does he have room? Just enough room. And the inning is over. The Padres get a single and a double, but can't score. The double play kills that inning. And after 2, Dodgers by 2.
Top of the third from Petco Park, and the Dodgers lead the Padres by a score of 2-0. And it's time for our AT&T Twitter poll. Let's get the fans involved. Here's tonight's Twitter poll question. Which offseason acquisition will have the biggest impact of the season? Greinke for the Dodgers, Upton for the Braves, Angels acquired Josh Hamilton, R.A. Dickey went to the Blue Jays. Remember, use that hashtag when you vote. For instance, hashtag Z Greinke, hashtag J Upton, so on, so forth. You get the drill.
You don't get both Uptons, though. Just one.
No, just one. Justin Upton. Yep.
Gonzalez. Marquis falling behind once again 2-0. Rick Honeycutt there with his young pitcher. Gonzalez, a solid shot home run, first time up. Off speed, catches the outside corner, 2-1. And here is Adrian Gonzalez, first home run of the season. That was well struck to the aisleway down in Petco corner. And the count 2-2.
The home run was a 2-0 pitch, a little slider or cutter into Adrian Gonzalez. Does a fine job. We're just going to commit to a pitch inside to getting those hands through, get him close to his body so he can get that bat out in front, keep it fair.
Two-two pitch. Center field. Maben has room. And there's one away. Well, down that right field pole, of course, that's a tailor-made pole down there. And they're talking about this year the Rocket Ball Z Club. And that reminds us this opening day of the Masters down at Augusta National. And, of course, there's interest, a couple of San Diegans. Because on this day, I was fortunate to be there 9 years ago, finally, University High's Phil Mickelson won the Masters, that 18-foot birdie putt to beat Ernie Els. And in '82, Craig Stadler, La Jolla High School.
Yeah, the Walrus.
In a playoff, beat Dan Pohl for the green jacket.
That's a great event.
Oh, it is indeed. It's so much like Wimbledon in terms of its tradition and culture.
A tradition like any other.
Sound like Jim Nance. And today in the first round, Phil 5 off the pace, 1 under par round. Tiger just a notch in front of him, -2. Ethier with a fly ball behind short. Cabrera out, Quentin in, and the shortstop Cabrera gloves it for the second out. Sergio Garcia and Mark Leishman, an Australian, Spaniard and Australian, lead with 6 under par. And at 4 under, Ricky Fowler and Fred Couples is only 2 off the pace. We'll follow that through the weekend for you.
What size green jacket do you wear, Dick?
I'd take a 42, Ray.
Do you have a green jacket?
Oh, are you kidding?
Come on.
Well, if you go down and to your favorite club, go to Ascot Shop there in La Jolla, they'd probably set me up with a green jacket. But, you know, it's like wearing the Wimbledon tie. You got to be a champion.
Yeah.
A.J. Ellis, single to right, first time. That golf course so well manicured and so well cared for during the Masters. I'll tell you about an incident my first time there.
It looks great on TV.
Oh, it is.
In HD.
Oh, it's beautiful. It was a nursery when Bobby Jones bought the property. It was a nursery, and he saw the beauty there and the beautiful rolling landscape, and said this would make a great golf course. My first time there, the TV compound is just off the course over by the par 3 course at Augusta. And I went out for my first, as a practice round. I'll go out and check out the course, and I have my cup of coffee with me, and I walk out on the course. I had to take 2 steps before a green jacket said, "Pardon me, sir." Took my coffee, poured it out of the white styrofoam into a green cup.
Oh,
to
my
match
goodness.
the environs.
Really?
2-2. Back to the mound by Marquis. Under Cabrera for a base hit. A.J. Ellis 2 for 2.
It's so frustrating as a pitcher. You know, Jason Marquis is going to give up some grounders. He's going to give up some hits. That one just happened to find the center of the diamond. Got to stick to the same game plan.
Luis Cruz grounded to third. Dodgers with base traffic every inning after the home run by Gonzalez in the first. A walk to Ethier, single Ellis before Cruz grounded out. They had 2 men on in the second, a single Ellis, Mark Ellis, and a walk to the pitcher. They left 2, and now a 2-out single by A.J. Ellis. And the pitch count accelerating quickly now to 60. Another one by the mound that trickles into center field. Goodness. A carbon copy of Ellis's ground ball by Luis Cruz. Right through the box, and just enough on it to squeak into center field.
Yeah, this is not a replay.
Marquis looks up at the sky as if to say, how in the world? Maybe that was an instant replay.
And you know what? He fell off to the side just a little bit too much to where he couldn't get that glove across his body to try to snare that one. And you take a look at right even 30 and 30. 60 tosses for Jason Marquis.
He's not out of the third yet. Here's Justin Sellers, struck out his first at bat. Greinke on deck. Fallen behind a lot of hitters. That's not like Marquis.
Yeah.
A lot of 2-0 counts.
Hence the pitch count. 32 balls, 30 strikes. And, you know, in a way that can be really overrated because it's been one pitch, the pitch to Gonzalez, the 2-run shot.
And a strike. Eight 2-0 counts in the game for Marquis.
Yeah, that's not good.
2 on, 2 out here in the Dodger third. So far, Marquis, other than the home run, able to pitch out of trouble. And goes 3-1. Darren Bowlesley and Bud Black, it's been a rough first 9 games for them. Watching the starting pitching, just struggling. Those strikes and no quick innings. That's a strike. And the count full. That'll give Ellis and Cruz an extra jump. Glenn Hoffman reminding the infield that they're on the move. Ransom backs up at third. Ball 4. Third walk from Marquis, and the bases are full of Dodgers. Exactly what Bud Black and the Padres hoped wouldn't happen. That Marquis would struggle like the other Padres starters to get 4 or 5 innings, much less deep into the game. So Bowlesley out to visit.
Darren mentioned before the game that the positioning on the rubber going over to the first base side, as we take a look at Marquis on the left, Greinke on the right. Greinke goes from the center, but it's given a better shot, a straight line towards the outside part of the plate. Colorado really turned it around where he threw some good sinkers. And as you take a look, you can see how far to the first base side Marquis is. In the center of the diamond, or center of the plate rather, the pitcher's plate, is Zack Greinke. It's all a comfort thing. Greinke doesn't have the two-seamer that Marquis has, and Marquis doesn't have the good fastball, up to the mid-90s that Greinke has.
Greinke knew a fastball was coming, and Cabrera is able to get the force at second. Ooh, a hard slide by Sellers. And the inning is over. The Dodgers in the first 3 innings have stranded 7 men. It stays at 2-0. And it's time for the Sequant Casino Daycation stat of the game to put Zack Greinke's strikeout power in perspective. Those are the top names in the last 5 years, plus this first month, a week and a half of the new season. Right up there with Lincecum, Verlander, Sabathia, King Fiblix, and Greinke at 1,013.
Well, you take a look at Lincecum and Greinke and just their builds. Lincecum isn't as tall as Greinke. Greinke listed at 6'2", but Verlander, big kid. Sabathia, big kid. Felix, yeah, he's got the good pitcher's body. If I were to say to you, hey, see that kid right there? He's had 1,013 strikeouts since 2008. You'd probably laugh at me.
Yeah, it looks more like a shortstop.
Yes. Hey, cocktails. Everybody having a good time.
College night and all the men and women at the great universities around our city. Point Loma, Nazarene, San Diego State, UCSD, University of San Diego.
Grossmont Junior College. Come on now.
Yeah, they're all having a good time tonight. Great to have them here. Cody Ransom looking for his first Padre hit. He's 0 for 7. Filling the void left with the injury to Chase Headley. Headley continues to improve. Padres hopeful that maybe this weekend he could start a rehab assignment at Lake Elsinore. Or perhaps Tucson. 1-1 to Ransom, then Marquis and Cabrera. Lays off a good slider.
Well, Mark Sweeney's joining us down by the dugout. And Mark, I had a question for you. The anticipation of Chase Headley coming back, but it's just not Chase Headley.
High pop up on the infield. Mark Ellis down from second. One away.
It's not just the anticipation of Chase Headley. Hopefully he comes back as soon as a hotbed, but collectively, these Padres got to have 3, 4, maybe 5 guys to get collectively hot.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what it's all about, Mark. When you talk about teams that do have that hot streak that you have, it's usually guys that you're not expecting to be as hot as they are, and that's what you're seeing around the major leagues. But you got to have some guys that stick out and have those good starts. And sometimes, guys, you're just slow starters, and it seems like the Padres are going through that lull right now.
Marquis, excellent hitter, a 200 average career with 5 homers, 54 runs batted in. Comes out hacking.
Talked to Jason before the game, and I asked him, did you always bat left-handed? Even when you put a glove on and stepped out on the field for the first time, he says always. Throwing right, batting left. And of course, he's got that protector on that right elbow. The throwing elbow is exposed to the pitcher.
Line drive, base hit to left field. Solid single. Cutting it off is Crawford in the corner, and Marquis will hold with a long single. Well, and picked the stick. Laura McKeeman knew what she was doing. She took Marquis.
Oh, what the Ichiro Suzuki is going on here? Look at him taking that pitch away and just long stride, flicking his wrists. Jason Marquis, the Sultan of slap. Slaps that one to left field for a knock.
He leads all active pitchers in the big leagues in career hits, doubles, RBIs, runs scored.
Laura McKeeman, what do you know that we don't know?
I'm on to something here.
Nick Hundley last night, Jason Marquis, come on.
I thought I was going out on a limb a little bit, but now I'm feeling like I just got to go with my gut.
You got 6 good lottery numbers for me?
Let's talk after the game. I'm going to use them for myself first, though, okay?
Man.
Well done. So Cabrera bounced to second his first time. Padres with their third hit off Zack Greinke. Pittsburgh got only 2 hits in more than 6 innings, and that ball driven into the right field corner, but Ethier is there. Well, the Padres had some line drives to the outfield last night. Couldn't get them away from the gloves, and that ball well struck, but Ethier able to snare it for the second out, and here's Venable.
Just by looking at the body language of Zack Greinke, sure, it's a recorded out, line drive to right field. But he wasn't happy with the way he threw that pitch and where it was located, enabling Cabrera to put a good swing on it.
Venable struck out swinging his first time. Curveball. Down in the dugout with Harry Bud Black. That's his perspective. Change up 2-0. Carlos Quentin on deck. Joe Plantier, veteran Mark Kotsay.
It's almost like having another coach on the team with Mark Kotsay, huh? Player coach.
He's a student of the game, and with all of his experience, wise to listen to any advice that Kotsay has for you. 2-0. He came back with another changeup.
That's some big league pitching right there, isn't it? I mean, 2 outs, run around first. It's the pitcher, sure, but Will Venable now the second time around, and Greinke's gone soft to him this whole at bat. Curveball, changeup, changeup. Think he tries to freeze him with a fastball here?
Sinker. 2-2. Old left-handed pitcher Lasorda. Get a little play-by-play when you sit next to Tommy.
Those eyelids look like they're starting to get a little heavy for Tommy. It's getting to be that hour.
Misses outside, and the count full to Venable.
Mark Sweeney, that's your guy, isn't it? Tommy Lasorda.
That's my guy. And when those eyes get heavy, it's nap time. And it might be in between pitches, but he doesn't like missing pitches at all.
Oh, he's got the stare going.
Oh, yeah, he's ready.
Oh, yeah.
Swung on and missed, strike 3. Venable struck out both times. The only strikeouts for Greinke. Padres get a single from Marquis. Nothing in the third. 2-0 Dodgers. ready to go. Top of the fourth. Totals through 3, 2-6-0 for the Dodgers. They've left 7 men on base. Padres no runs, 3 hits, and no errors, and have stranded 2.
Well, it could be much worse for Jason Marquis and the Padres, but as you mentioned, just the one swing off the bat of Adrian Gonzalez in the first, a 2-run shot. Many opportunities. Padres still in reach.
Marquis, 67 pitches for him through 3 innings. Top of the order, Crawford singled and scored in the first on Gonzalez home run. Flied to center the last time up.
See if he tries to drag one here.
He's swinging the bat so well, it'd almost be a gift if he did try to bunt. In 2010, Crawford hit the Quinella, the Silver Slugger, and the Gold Glove, as did Chase Headley for the Padres last year.
Good movement.
On the inside corner, strike 3. Third strikeout for Marquis.
Well, so for Jason Marquis, Carl Crawford, uno dos, adios. Take a hike.
Two-seamer hit a lot of action.
Yeah.
Mark Ellis, a single in 2 at-bats. The home run by Gonzalez tonight is the 14th allowed by Padre pitching, while they've hit only 3 themselves. That's a bad differential. Pitching's got to hold the opposition and hope that the Padres start playing a little long ball. Dodgers with 4 home runs in the series.
Boy, Jason having difficulty. Dick, you and I were talking about it in the break about Jason, and he's missing off the plate, down and away to the righties. Maybe he's trying to be a little bit too fine.
Well, that whole move to the first base side of the rubber, maybe it's just,
well,
taking him off course a little bit.
Well, the philosophy there is if you're on the first base side of the rubber and you're in line with it's almost like throwing, you're just imagining like you're throwing the ball right down the middle of the plate. You're just offset a little bit.
3-1.
There's a good pitch.
Fly ball right center. Maben calling. 2 away. Matt Kemp, the batter.
Looks like Jason Marquis also has made a little adjustment as far as his delivery. He takes a step back. Earlier in the year, he was in spring training. He would step in front of the rubber to go into his leg kick. And I've always liked the pitcher who steps back going into his delivery to get a little momentum going.
Little rock
a
back.
Little, yeah, shoot, rock, fire, right?
Yeah,
there's the rock, kick and fire.
Kemp struck out and grounded to second. Here at Petco Park, Matt Kemp has had tremendous success here at Petco Park for those that have had at least 75 shots at it. Berkman the best average, then Ichiro, and Kemp at 337, just ahead of Todd Helton. As we said earlier, he's had trouble with Marquis with his 0 for 2 tonight. He's 2 for 19 against Jason.
And believe me, pitchers know that. Hitters know that. They know those numbers.
Base is empty, 2 out. And the Dodgers leading 2-0 on the first inning home run by Adrian Gonzalez. Inside target. Line drive left field. Quentin will have to play that on a hop. Well, the Dodgers continue to put a man on base every inning. That's 7 hits off Marquis. Brings up Adrian Gonzalez.
Mark Sweeney's down by the Padre dugout. And Mark, I mentioned it last night, and I want you to comment on it. Matt Kemp has the uncanny ability to really get some serious topspin. That topspin created by that top hand, and I think we just saw it on that last elevated pitch. A lot of hitters will pop that up.
Yeah, they will pop that up. And understanding, too, Mark, you made a good point last night using that top hand, and Matt Kemp has made that adjustment. When you use your top hand, you can let the ball travel a little bit further and still have that whip, and that's exactly what Matt Kemp has taught himself the last couple of years.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 hitters, I would have to say, that elevated pitch, they're working underneath it, and it's an easy fly ball in the infield or shallow left field.
Adrian Gonzalez, every time he hits against Padre pitching, he's so successful. He reminds you of what a loss that was to the San Diego organization. Hits that one down the left field line, slicing into the corner, and foul, barely foul. Played by Carlos Quentin, and with 2 outs, Kemp running all the way. That might have gotten another Dodger run. Gonzalez against the Padres, hitting .469. There's evidence of how tough and out he is coming back to haunt his former team.
Sweet swing. Great discipline of the strike zone. Uses the whole field. And that swing looks so easy, but yet he still generates some good bat power.
That ball jumping off his bat down the left field line. Chases there, a changeup.
That'd be a good wipeout pitch right there for Jason Marquis. But one more to go, finding himself ahead 1-2.
Just saw guys right there, Jason Marquis asking Nick Hundley for this pitch to be elevated.
Ah, well, there you go. Nick Hundley set up high. Yeah, you know, that's a good point, Mark Sweeney. I remember, you know, you have a relationship with your catcher to where he's kind of always looking at you. And when you get that ball back, you know, the hitters may be doing some landscaping or looking at the coach. You might indicate to your catcher, hey, next pitch, fastball, get it up. Or, you know, you spin like you're spinning a curveball or motion like a changeup.
Yeah, these guys haven't had too long of a relationship either, especially with Nick Hundley going through injuries last year.
Fouls that pitch off, low and inside.
I guarantee you they're sitting in front of their locker or they're in the video room going over little nuggets like that to keep Nick Hundley aware of little notes like that during the game. Hey, keep an eye out after a pitch. I might tell you, like Mark Sweeney just picked up. I want to throw a high fastball. Therefore, you don't have to give a sign either. Slider down and in. Slider or cutter here.
Time called. Kemp at first base with 2 outs. A good base stealer.
Jason kind of motioned there inside. Although Nick looks like he set up away.
Top foul. Changeup.
Well, sometimes a hitter might swing through it, foul it off. But you know what? He goes into the stretch there. He was visibly upset. Maybe he had a rhythm going. He didn't want to break rhythm.
You know what it was, guys? Yonder Alonso did a faux pas for first base when he threw that foul ball out into the stands. I think Marquis liked the grip of that baseball.
Yeah. 2-2 again. Got him on another changeup. 4 strikeouts for Marquis. The Dodgers lead their 8th man in 4 innings. To the home half of the 4th, Quentin to lead off. 2-0 LA. baseball on Fox Sports San Diego, brought to you by Sequan. Real friendly, real close. And by the Aramco Group. Purchase, refinance, reverse. Zack Greinke yet to give up a run this season. Now 9 1/3 innings as he faces Carlos Quentin. After the inning, marquee and an animated discussion with Darren Balsley.
And what I got from this is the discussion with Darren. It looks like Jason was upset with himself because he maybe standing a little too tall rather than keeping that front side hunched over and in towards home plate. Morton, and then Balsley kind of motioned with his body, kind of like a drop and drive, keeping that front shoulder tucked in there. Jason kind of felt like he was standing straight up. That's what I gathered from that discussion. And he's giving Clayton Richard an autograph.
1-1 to Quentin.
Mark Sweeney, you sniffing anything down there?
Yeah, I just saw that foul ball go in and actually hit Chase Headley. Get out of the dugout. We want him to go on his rehab assignment.
Good call. Put a suit of armor on that guy, will you?
And Clayton Richard wound up with the baseball. Headley hiding on the back side of the bench. 2-2.
Looks like Darren Balsley on the bench and talking to Clayton Richard. Grips on the baseball. Little slider grip. Talking tilt, talking grips and tilt of sliders.
Struck him out off speed. Third strikeout for Greinke.
Just a little slider, a hanger at that, up above the belt. Well, he's a good one. And, I remember watching Zack Greinke last year in Milwaukee against the Padres. It was last year, correct? Yeah, before he got traded, right?
To L.A., the Angels.
Yeah, and I remember specifically, I don't think he threw a ball down the center of the plate. He was just like that. He was just really good at dissecting the outer third and the inner third of home plate.
Alonso singled to right field first time. And that nice slider in under the hands. 2-0 Dodgers. Marquee battling every inning to hold the score at just that. The first inning home run by Gonzalez. Dodgers leaving 8 men on base. Curveball bounces. Well, tomorrow night the Rockies are in for the first time. Friday, Saturday, Sunday for Colorado. Padres like to design a little sweep of their own after Colorado took all 3 games up in Denver last weekend. Rockies just swept by San Francisco. And an off day. They come in at 5-4. Two and two. Here's the pitching matchup tomorrow night. Tyson Ross, first home start for the Padres against former Padre and Dodger John Garland, who won the game up in Denver. 6:30 for Padre Live here on Fox Sports San Diego. Out of play.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to miss Padres Live, especially with Sweeney and Pomerantz heading it up. I've got people in East County, I see them all the time. Oh, those guys are so handsome. They can't wait to tune in.
The same. I got a call from Montecito up by Santa Barbara. There.
Yeah.
Are they movie stars or sportscasters?
What do you think about that, Sweeney?
I think that's embarrassing.
Really?
That's what I think.
A handsome individual like you getting compliments? Come on.
No, I think it's all about Mike Pomerantz.
Hey, no, I think you got to putty in those dimples. See, that's what they go for. You know, you got to putty those in.
Hey, Mark, do me a favor. Stomp out bullying, will you? It's not cool.
You're exactly right.
You know, we're all wearing these pins they were giving us the other day. Stomp out bullying. And
right there.
It's just not cool. Be a friend. Hey, be a mentor. Be kind to one another. It can last a lifetime, right? For kids and adults alike. It's not cool.
It's in the dictionary of bad words, bully. Full count, Alonso.
And it's not just face-to-face. It's this Twitter and Facebook stuff as well. It ain't cool. And if you're out there and you're one of them, knock it off.
Are you serious, man?
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I know
I'm
you are.
totally serious because there's a lot of that stuff that goes on. And you know who you are out there. Stop it.
Take you to the woodshed.
Yeah.
Struck him out. So Greinke, using that breaking ball in on the hands of Alonso, has 4 strikeouts.
You know, everything out of the hand of Greinke, you'd seen that at bat, really had some movement. The cutter, the slider, the curveball, the changeup. That there, good tilt.
Ball 4.
And his foot in the center of the rubber. That's where he feels most comfortable. And he's very consistent with his release point.
Jed Jerko takes ball 1. He came up in the second inning after Alonso singled to open the second. Bounced into a double play, and then Hundley followed with a double to right center. So that was the best chance for the Padres to score. That breaking ball away.
You know, guys, we always talk about adjustments and in-game adjustments. Looks like Jed Jerko is spread out just a little bit more, trying to use his hands and take that movement on the lower half away. Almost a 2-strike approach.
Trying to paint that outside edge. Didn't miss by much. 3-1 to Jerko.
3-1, Mark Sweeney. You got to think fastball away. That seems like where Greinke's been going when he's backed up against the wall.
And he's not going to miss over the middle of the plate.
Yeah. There it is. Little two-seamer missing.
Ball 4. A 2-out walk to Jerko. Could be a couple of men on. Alonso chased ball 4, preceding Jerko. First walk from Greinke, and here's Hundley representing the tying run here in the 4th. Double to right center for his 5th consecutive hit in this series. And we're hearing it over and over, Mark Sweeney, about Hundley taking a more athletic approach to hitting. Can you give us further insight?
Yeah, and what that is basically is that lower half. You can see it's more athletic, and if you remind yourself, it's almost like playing defense in basketball when you play a pickup basketball game. You got to be in a more athletic position, just not robotic for Nick Hundley. He was standing straight up last year, but now he's involving his lower half, which helps your upper half and your swing.
That's a good analogy right there. You know, you play defense on basketball, you're not going to stand erect, right? You're going to be knees bent, kind of balls of your feet, so you can go bang left, go right, kind of jump. You know, makes sense.
Lies in tennis, football as well.
Yep.
Can't play linebacker and be standing straight up.
Hey, that's the way I position myself before I dive into the refrigerator. Athletic position.
Athletic. So you take on the whole ice box, as we used to call it. 2-0. Strike 2-1, and tonight's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Hundley started the year 2 for 15, a double and an RBI, but since he is 5 for 8, 3 doubles, a home run, 3-run score, 5 straight hits. And Greinke a little wobbly here in the 4th.
You know, notice something about Mark Greinke, guys, Mark Sweeney and Dick Enberg. It seems like this inning, when he's a little off, he's missing off the plate. He's not missing the center of the plate.
Well, I think that's exactly what you want to do if you're a pitcher, and you can tell us better than that. But understanding, too, when he misses, it's off the plate. It's almost like how important every pitch-by-pitch is.
Ground ball by the bag at third and down into the left field corner. Hundley has another hit. Here comes Jerko into third, and Hundley holds with a long single as Crawford did a good job of keeping that ball from rolling all the way into the corner. Cut it off at the wall. And how about Hundley? 6 consecutive base hits.
And just as we mentioned it, guys, look at where this pitch is. On contact, right down the middle of the plate. Probably the only mistake, one of the few mistakes that Greinke has made tonight. Sure, it's a base knock. Runners at the corners. Need another 2-out hit here to get on the board.
That one dissecting third base on its way down the left field line.
I think we've got to feel like we jinxed him right there, don't you think, Mark Grant?
Absolutely. What about the swing?
I love the swing.
You like that swing? Tell us about it.
And it's all about the confidence for Nick Hundley now. Now it's starting to snowball in the right direction.
Now some of that's got to rub off on the man at the plate, Cameron Maben. He's going the other way. And the ball gets away. Here comes Jerko. 2-1 the score. Well, the Padres got a break last night. A strikeout wild pitch for D'Onofrio that scored a run in the ninth. And here's a wild pitch from Greinke, and that gives Jerko the 90 feet to score.
Did you see Greinke after that pitch? It's almost like he kind of got twisted up. That's the first pitch I've seen him bounce tonight.
You know, guys, some of that credit has to go to Jed Jerko because he's taking that extra base, going to third base with Carl Crawford having that sore arm.
Yeah, Greinke kind of lost his footing there.
So Maben a chance to tie it up with a base hit as Hundley moves to second base. And an easy ground ball to short, and the inning's over. And Maben's struggles continue. 2 for 26. But the Padres get a gift run, and it's 2-1 after 4.
Sorry, Max.
Top of the fifth inning, Ethier, Ellis, and Cruz against Jason Marquis. How Nick Hundley, 6 consecutive hits.
Stay hot.
Ethier has walked and popped to short.
Comfortable. Seeing the ball well.
And goodness.
Confidence.
And positive attitude and success perpetuates success. That's where the game works. And when you're in the other cycle, it spins the other way. It perpetuates problems. And it's interesting, back-to-back hitters. Hundley's in one of those positive cycles and Maben in one of the negative. And then you might get a scratch hit and break out of it totally. Ethier fouls that one away.
You know, guys, we talk about Nick Hundley and the leadership skills that he has. It's very difficult to be a leader when you're struggling at the plate. You start fighting yourself so many times, but this is so good to see him get off to this good start and understand his credibility means a lot to him when he shows up every single day.
Yeah, you know, I want to elaborate on that comment after this pitch. And you know what, credit Nick Hundley for this, because guys, you know, we traveled with this ball club last year, and when Nick was going through those problems, he was the same Nick Hundley now as he was last year, even though he was struggling. Same personality, no excuses, continued to work hard. My point is, Nick Hundley is going to be the same whether he's on top of the world or he's down in the valley struggling. He's the same personable kid, working hard, no excuses, and being accountable.
Even though it was eating him alive.
Never said anything publicly, never made any excuses.
6 in a row, 6 hits in a row. The Padre record is 8, accomplished by 4 different Padres. Did he go? Yes, he did. 2-2 Ethier. So 4 different Padres had 8 consecutive hits. Kevin Kuzminoff, the last to do it. Brian Giles, of course, Tony Gwynn, and Dave Winfield, and Brian Giles. 5 different Padres. Swing and a miss. A changeup gets Ethier. 5 strikeouts now for Marquis.
Great arm action. Good changeup down and away. That ball starts to the heart of the plate. Arm action looks like a fastball, ends up like a changeup way out in front. Looks like a pump, feels like a sneaker.
A.J. Ellis, 2 singles off Marquis tonight.
Remember that inning we saw Jason Marquis talking with Darren Balsey? They were talking mechanics, kind of like Jason was saying. Jason felt he was kind of standing straight up too much. And even Darren Balsey kind of motioned, keeping that front shoulder. I think it's a big key for Jason when he keeps his front shoulder, glove side shoulder, kind of tucked a little bit as he starts to go towards home plate. Right there. And if he has a tendency to stand up a little bit, that's not the way he wants to feel going towards home plate. And you know what? You can almost say that's an athletic position. Rather than being straight up and tall, being hunched over just a little bit, keeping that front side tucked. Kind of like a boxer.
Yeah. Throwing that right hand.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
We take a look. Watch the shoulder in the front here. See if he keeps it tucked, okay? Leg kick. Keep it tucked a little bit. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Maybe a little tall right there. But I think that's what he wants to accomplish. That was a good action pitch. Good action down and in. Did not get the call.
3-1. I'm thinking about how you load up that right side and really drive it. How about like Tom Seaver? You think about how Tom Seaver used to like throwing that right hand when he threw that.
Terrific.
3-1. And over but low. A walk to Ellis, so 3 straight times he's been aboard, and the Dodger record of being busy on the bases continues every inning. Somebody's aboard, and fortunately for Marquis and the Padres, he's come up with big pitches, and 8 men have been stranded.
And Andrew Kashner grabs a baseball and starts heating up at the Padre bullpen. And Mark Sweeney, you're closer to the action. Is talking about mechanics. It's along the same line as hitters. You see anything from Jason?
Well, he's such in a rhythm, and that he needs to get in that rhythm. We've seen it so many times.
Chop to the hole. Cabrera to second, just in time. A slow call by Andy Fletcher there at second base, the umpire, but he finally throws up the right fist. And there's 2 away.
Oh, let's see if there's a little pull the old footsie early at second base. Cabrera, flip throw. Kind of tough to tell there. No, he was in contact. Nicely done.
And it's a good call by Fletcher.
Jed Jerko doing a great imitation of a first baseman at the stretch. But the force out at second base.
Cruz at first on the fielder's choice. Here's Justin Sellers, a strikeout and a walk. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning. A tight one. Dodgers 2, Padres 1.
You know, guys, with the pitcher spot coming up, they really want Jason Marquis to try to get through this inning, especially coming up second.
Two and 0.
Next pitch will be number 100 for Jason Marquis, and Bud Black looking over his lineup.
Marquis with 4 walks and 7 hits. Only damaged by Gonzalez in the first with a 2-run homer.
You know, he's had good movement on that sinker when he keeps it down. It's evident right there. Watch Nick Hundley's glove. Doesn't even move. A little two-seam action.
Oh, that was paint. Knee high on the corner.
Got the number 2 camel hair paintbrush out working it.
2-2. Second baseman Jerko. And a gritty 5-inning effort from Jason Marquis. 102 pitches, holding the fort, 2-1. First inning, Carl Crawford singled in. Adrian Gonzalez, a long poke to right, his first home run of the year, 2-0 Dodgers. Padres get a gift back, a wild pitch by Zack Greinke. Scores Jerko from third with Maven at the plate. The hitting star again tonight, Nick Hundley. A single and a double. He's 6 for 6 in the last 2 games. Cody Ransom, then Jason Marquis scheduled, and Cabrera. Marquis with over 100 pitches. We'll see whether or not Bud Black's going to let him bat. He singled his only time up. Ransom popped the second, his only trip. One and one, breaking ball. Economical 68 pitches for Greinke going into the 5th. Marquis singled sharply to left field in the 3rd. Out of play. Ransom, new Padre, veteran, showed a lot of power in spring training. Hit a couple of home runs to right field.
Nice to see him get his first knock right here.
2-hopper to the shortstop, Sellers. 1 away, and Ransom now 0 for 9. Marquis apparently is going to stay in the game. He'll stay in the hit, whether or not he'll be back out on the mound with 102 pitches already delivered. And as you said, he's not going to go to the manager and say, wait a minute, I've thrown my century. I'm going to come out of there.
He could throw 150 pitches. I'm dead serious. And he said it himself. He'll throw on the side. He's not one of these pitchers when he throws his bullpen where he goes, he monitors like, okay, 60, 80. He says there's sometimes he'll throw 150, 160 pitches.
Nub foul off speed. And 2 strikes to count. Greinke giving up his first run of the season, and that's exactly what he did. He gave it up with the wild pitch. It could have been a much bigger inning. He was 3-2 on Alonso and threw him a pitch low and out of the strike zone, but Alonso went after it for the strikeout. Then Jerko walked. Hundley singled Jerko to third, and then the wild pitch scoring Jerko.
I'll tell you what, Marquis looks like a hitter up there. Waving that shillelagh, getting in that athletic position, waiting to throw some head. He's got to go off speed here, you think?
Pulled to the first baseman Gonzalez. 3-1 on the put out with Greinke covering. 2 away. And to the top of the order, Everett Cabrera. Cabrera's grounded to second and line to right. Well, the good news for the Padres, at least based on their pattern in the first 8 games, is that they've scored more than half of their runs after the 7th inning. 14 of their 26 runs in the 8th and 9th. The way Bud Black patting Marquis on the backside may be that he respects his ability to hit, so why use a pinch hitter? Let him swing away.
Yeah.
But he might be through for the night in terms of pitching.
I think so. I think Buddy just told him, hey, you're done for the night. And of course, Jason Marquis is going to lobby to go back out there.
Goes to DeNorfia. Can you talk to the manager? Another inning in there. Cabrera 2-0.
Mark Sweeney, you getting any 411 down there regarding that situation?
Well, there's a little politicking going on, but a lot of laughter. And I love that Jason Marquis wants to stay in the ballgame. But you definitely want to tell him after his at bat.
2-1 to Cabrera. Making much better contact this year, Cabrera. He's just not finding any holes. So not on base much, so difficult to employ one of his great strengths, and that's as a base stealer. Good bunt. He's got a base hit there. That's the way to get on. Bunt single. The tying run aboard with 2 outs here in the 5th. You can just hear how well he deadened that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see where the ball hits. Oh, you talk about a running start. That's almost like a softball approach. 1, 2, about 2.5 steps.
And he had Greinke going toward the third baseline, and Ellis pounces on it, but too late.
But Dick, you mentioned, look at that ball check up. He deadened it perfectly.
Venable had a tough time with Greinke. He struck out both at bats.
Guys, I think we got to credit Luke Yoder, the head groundskeeper here. Just spinning that ball on that green surface. Talking about the Masters. The place is beautiful.
Yeah. That was a nice knockdown wedge right there.
You could clip that a little tighter to the grass and you'd have a putting green.
You know, Mark, you're absolutely right. Luke Yoder, the best in the business. You ask any visiting team which surface is the best to play on. They say Petco Park, and it's a credit to Luke and his staff.
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Nobody knows more about chinch bugs and manganese than Luke Yoder.
Cabrera did not get a smooth return to the bag. Staggered a little bit. And that quick slap tag by Gonzalez makes every play close over there.
Well, Adrian's very quick with the glove. Oh, that was close.
Yeah, it was close.
He may have gotten him there.
No, I don't think so. He
No?
got him on the back. His hand slipped underneath.
You know, guys, going back to that play at first base, Adrian Gonzalez, as a left-handed first baseman, you can let that ball travel a little bit longer. That's why you get those quick tags. If you're right-handed, it makes it very difficult to do that across the body.
Yeah, that's a good point. The ball's always going to get travel quicker than the glove.
Cabrera with 2 steals and another foul back, and Venable got a good pitch there.
Okay, Dick, let's take a look.
There's his hand, and now the tag.
Glove is on him right there.
And his hand, his hand is underneath his foot.
Big.
His hand had already hit the bag behind his foot.
Did it?
Yeah. You got to be able to see through those shoes.
Can I borrow those glasses?
2 strikes on Venable. The Dodgers lead, last of the 5th. Not a very aggressive lead because Greinke's, as a right-hander, has a good move. A.J. Ellis and Greinke have probably agreeing on sign here.
Guys, we know it's going to be a different year for Everett Cabrera at first base, especially. When you lead the league in stolen bases, there's going to be more attention drawn to you. And we're seeing that early in the season this year when he gets on first base.
It takes its toll having to dive back 3-4 times.
Sure it does. And what a better coach to have over there at first base than Dave Roberts, huh? Helping out base runners.
Oh, you gotta love that.
High 1-2.
Right in the side pocket.
Yeah.
You just hope that the distraction for Greinke, and he might lose some of that pinpoint control and lay a fat one into Venable. One ball, 2 strikes. Ball down the left field line. Crawford is over, doesn't make the play. 5 innings in the book. Dodgers 2, Padres 1.
Game of the 3-game series, and the Dodgers lead the Padres by a score 2-1. It's time for our AT&T Twitter poll question results. Pretty good question here, involving some big leaguers. Off-season acquisition. Which one do you think is going to have the biggest impact? Zack Greinke, 16%. Boy, Justin Upton, 74%, running away with it. Josh Hamilton, nobody liking Josh Hamilton in Orange County, Dick. And R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer for the Blue Jays, only at 11%.
Yeah, you add it up, it's 101%.
Yeah. Hey, if you give 101% every time, chances are things are going to work out for you.
That's what happens when you have a really juicy question like that.
Yeah.
You know, you even get what sneaks in there, 101. Andrew Kashner makes his 4th appearance of the season. That was a yeoman effort tonight by Jason Marquis, 102 pitches. Stepping out of the batter's box, Greinke said, I'm just going to take a look at one of those plus fastballs. I'm not going to hang in here. Look at, he's just backing away. He doesn't even want to offer.
You know, I remember being with some teammates, pitchers, that were just instructed to go up to the plate and just, you know, hey, if you strike out looking at 3, you strike out.
Now he steps in and the count 1-2.
Remember Greg Harris, right-handed pitcher, good curveball, Elon College, and he was just coming off an oblique injury, right? And Jack McKeon instructed him to go up there and just take. I don't want you swinging the bat. You strike out, it's on me. I don't want you to hurt your side.
98 miles an hour. That pitch missed. 2-2.
That was the second Greg Harris, not the one who could throw a righty and lefty.
Late swing. Well, Marquis, 5 innings, allowed 2 runs earned, 7 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Battled his way out of trouble. Left 9 Dodgers stranded. Kept the Padres in the game. Sharply hit, but right at Cabrera. 1 away. Top of the order, Carl Crawford.
Well, Bud Black mentioned it in his post-game press conference last night after the game, talking about how pitchers, the starting pitchers in particular, you know, need to go deeper in the game. To give you an indication, you know, Clayton Richard, 99 pitches, 5 innings. Eric Stoltz, 95 pitches, 5 innings. Jason Marquis tonight, 102.
5 innings. Swing and a miss by Crawford, who has a single in 3 trips. And sooner or later, that starts to erode the bullpen.
Eric Stoltz looking on.
2 strikes to count. Now Kashner and Anthony Bass, the 2 long men, which is somewhat unusual to have 2 long men, but Kashner's trying to get a buildup of arm strength. Ooh, weak wave and a miss by Crawford. First strikeout for Kashner.
It's the curveball. Sharp breaking and perfect location. Great job by Nick Hundley. Makes the tag for the putout. And be sure, Monday, catch a new episode of Padres Weekly. Going to talk a little geometry, it looks like. Join Kelly Kroll as she checks in with the team. Find out what's on the horizon for the 2013 season. From the front office to the field, Padres Weekly, Monday at 6 on Fox Sports San Diego.
So you and Mark Sweeney are featured as well. I saw you there. Do you have a little bit on that?
We did a little conversation piece for Kelly Kroll in the weekly show. Just talking about some upcoming series.
So a shot of Jackie Robinson. Tomorrow the movie 42 is going to be playing around the country. As big swing and a miss by, or foul tip by Mark Ellis, 1-1. And the reviews have been outstanding. And I heard it. Jim Rome had Ralph Branca on his show today. A terrific interview. And Branca at 85, so lucid and articulate, talking about, you know, Jackie coming into the clubhouse for the first time and the feelings within that clubhouse. And because they had Dixie Walker and some Southern players who didn't even talk to Jackie for a couple of months. But Branca said, hey, I grew up in a Knicks neighborhood in New York, and hey, if he's going to help us win a pennant, I don't care what color he is. And it's interesting that the next day in the New York papers, it was no big headline deal that the color line had been broken by Jackie Robinson. It was just that Jackie Robinson played and maybe he won 1 for 4, whatever he did. And it was, you know, you would think, looking back historically, that would have been a huge story, but it wasn't played that way. Oh, my.
You know, there are a lot of great photographs throughout the history of Major League Baseball that just are etched in your mind. I wish I had one, and it's going to be my off-season job to try to get it. I want to get a picture of Pee Wee Reese with his arm around Jackie Robinson on the infield.
Greinke talked about that.
Yeah.
High hopper to Cabrera. Cashner works a 1-2-3 sixth inning. The first time the Dodgers have been retired in order tonight. Quentin coming up.
Leading the Padres 2-1. Well, we'll see Yonder Alonso come up to bat right after Carlos Quentin here. And Yonder told me that he actually has started a new, very strict diet. He noticed that he was getting injured toward the end of the season, then gaining a lot of weight in the offseason. And he said he doesn't want to take that toll on his body anymore. He's hired a personal chef to come in and cook things like turkey burgers and lots of vegetables. So really keeping it healthy there, guys.
All right, he's got a solid hit tonight, Alonso, in 2 trips. He follows Quentin and then Jerko in the 6th. Padres need a run to tie against Zack Greinke. Fouled at the plate. Quentin has grounded to third and struck out. Greinke has walked only 1, and it cost him. That's the only run the Padres have scored. A 2-out walk to Jerko, moved to third on Hundley's double, scored on a wild pitch. Greinke with 4 strikeouts.
You know, that's one of the major changes, as Laura mentioned in that report about Yonder Alonso, is the nutrition of players these days. Well, back in the day, nobody cared about nutrition. Hey, want to go to a cheeseburger? Sure, give me 2. Want to wash it down with a milkshake? You betcha. And the eyelid's getting a little heavier.
He's hanging in there. The breaking ball. Well, Quentin has been on the sideline more than active. 82 games he's been in the lineup, 88 without. But when he plays, the Padres have a winning record. When he doesn't, 18 under 500. Over but low, 2-2. Looking for his first long ball of the season. Every angle. Beautiful Petco Park. Oh, hit again. And Quentin didn't like that. And look at this. Greinke challenged him, and we've got a serious melee going here at Petco tonight. And now the bullpen's empty, and 50 players on the field plus coaches going at it. And Quentin and Greinke hit 2 days ago on the wrist by Belisario, and he gets hit again and didn't like it a bit, obviously. And he's ready for more. We'll see how the umpires sort this out. Tossed, and we'll see whether or not Greinke gets the heave-ho as well. It wasn't as if Greinke stayed on the mound and said, hey, I'm sorry. He made his move forward aggressively too.
Well, we'll have to take a look at this again. The one thing I'm looking at is the score of the game. Where we are. Bottom of the 6th, 2-1. The last thing I think Zack Greinke wants to do is put a guy on base. That's the tying run. You don't want to bring the winning run up to the base. Or up to the plate, rather. He's pitching a good ball game.
And let's just hope out of that scramble and fight, no one was injured. Mattingly's acting as though they've thrown out Greinke because he's arguing.
Oh, you know what? And looking at this objectively, on the replay, I think Carlos Quentin, he definitely gives him a stare. Let's take a look. Hits him. Greinke. Looks like Quentin makes the first move, and Greinke just held his ground.
A.J. Ellis, the catcher, coming out to tear Quentin away. And Quentin, a former football star in high school. Unfortunately, at least to this point, it doesn't appear anyone was injured. You just get spiked if nothing else.
Yeah.
With all the humanity climbing and falling and spiking.
You know, Greinke took a good blow to his left side.
And somebody got a good shot on Quentin, too, as he was going down. He took a punch. Yeah, Greinke did say something to him. As almost to say, okay, come on. There was a little baiting going on. And Quentin kind of took a step, and Greinke almost said, okay, let's see what you got. And he's been tossed as well. So Greinke leaves the game. Wait a minute, they're not through yet. Here come both benches empty again.
Well, Jerry Hairston Jr. was over near the on-deck circle,
and he came running over and instigates a second little push and shove. And here comes the bullpen again. They're getting their running in tonight.
Tell you what, this is almost reminiscent of 1984, the Padres and the Braves in Atlanta.
Oh, that was terrible. That was the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Jerry Hairston, former Padre, and he's upset about someone maybe in that scramble. Somebody took a cheap shot at him, and had nothing to do with maybe the initial contact between Greinke and Quentin, but as players go out to defend their turf, oftentimes there's some cheap shots taken. Bobby Black trying to get his flock back into the dugout.
Looks like Matt Kemp wants a piece of somebody. He's trying to make his way over towards the first base line. They're restraining Matt Kemp.
And there were no Padres over. He was acting as though he wanted to go after an umpire. That would really be hazardous for his immediate future.
So much going on in the field. We're going to have to wait and see just in fact who was ejected.
Well, let's go back to the start. After it seemed that everything had been settled, here comes Jerry Hairston running across the field to instigate a second confrontation, going after Yonder Alonso. At least Alonso was the first to meet him, but
and you would think that has to be immediate ejection right there, Jerry Hairston.
Yeah, no question. And then Kemp upset, it appears, more with the umpires at this point. Well, the rivalry still hot-blooded. Going back to the pitch that hits Quentin that starts it all. It'd be interesting to hear what Greinke said to Quentin. Quentin took that one step, and there's no way of knowing whether he was going to continue on to the mound. But when Greinke verbally said something to him, you can almost imagine what that might be. And Quentin didn't need a lot of urging to go out there. I mean, he was concerned 2 nights ago that he had a broken wrist when hit by a pitch by Belisario. So he was on edge to begin with. Now to sort it all out, Laura McKeeman, you've got a big job ahead of you.
Wow.
You're the only one who didn't run out of the dugout, Laura.
Yeah, you know, it's been interesting. And the only other person, Chase Headley, actually did turn around and I guess go check on Carlos Quentin. But interesting watching these guys. It apparently was very rough out there. Cabrera actually went like this and said that somebody had his eyes, throwing a lot of punches and things like that. So definitely looked rough, but so far looks like no one is seriously injured. Maybe a couple scrapes. We'll have to find that out, guys, in the post game here.
Now, here's what I'm curious, and we'll find out eventually, but Zack Greinke, he was hit by Carlos Quentin. It took the blow on his left side. He kind of
that's a good thing.
And then a trainer went out to talk to Zack, and then my initial reaction was that Zack Greinke was taken out because he was shooken up a little bit by that blow by Carlos Quentin going out there. I don't think Zack Greinke was ejected. Looking at the way the whole thing evolved, just a guess.
And I'm guessing he was ejected, and hopefully he wasn't hurt.
But the thing is, and I'm trying to look at this objectively. Greinke, he could have called it every name in the book. Greinke held his ground until there's the trainer talking out with Zack Greinke.
He took a pretty good shot.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he tried to brace himself, but he took the blow. As Quentin charging like a bull. And now both managers hearing from the umpires who have a difficult job here. How do you sort this out? Who's eligible, who is not to continue? Obviously, Greinke's gone, and so is Quentin.
And we'll have to wait and see.
Chris Capuano comes in from the bullpen, the veteran left-hander.
Have to see if we could talk to Carlos Quentin after the game to find out what exactly, if anything, was said from Zack Greinke during that exchange.
That gets your heart beating, doesn't it? So as the dust clears, the Padres will have a pinch runner at first base carrying the tying run, and a new pitcher, Capuano, a starter last year for the Dodgers.
Well, these fans not only getting a chance to see a big league ball game tonight, but also a Jerry Springer show breaking out.
Normally, those baseball scrambles are just a little push and shove and nothing serious, but there were some serious punches thrown when they break down the video and film of this game tonight. There were some haymakers fired. Adamantly trying to figure out who he has left. He's calling over his whole team. Mark Sweeney, what can you add?
You know, guys, I just watching that situation happen, with Carlos Quentin getting hurt before and also being in the American League before, you don't know the history that went through with both of these guys, but it's all about protecting yourself and understanding that. And that's a scary situation when you get in that big pile, though.
Yeah, you're talking about dislocated shoulders, blown out knees. There's the blow right there to the left side to Greinke. Ellis tackles Quentin, and then it's a huge scrum.
And the weight of that whole pile came down not only on Quentin, but on Greinke.
Yeah, there's a lot of Man, you get pinned underneath there. That spells trouble.
Hopefully the information will be sent up to the press box so we know just exactly who is left in the game. The scoreboard still has Quentin hitting third, but he's obviously been tossed.
No, Mark Sweeney made a good point because there's always that history between player, and where he's not indicating there is something between Zack Greinke and Carlos Quentin, but hey, I remember hearing stories about guys, something happening at one point in their career and then nothing happening until maybe 6 or 8 years later, to where they have it out for that guy and they just wait for the right situation to cause a skirmish.
No, some pitchers especially kept books.
Was Drysdale one of them?
Well, he didn't admit to it, but he had a teammate with the Dodgers who did, and he had a skull and crossbones by the names of players that he owed.
Wow.
Some chin music.
Yeah.
Skip Schumacher is going to replace Matt Kemp in center field. We saw Kemp in the second affair very upset at someone, and he was ejected, obviously. And Capuano give him as many pitches as he needs to get ready. It looks as if he said a couple, 3 more.
Whew.
Yeah, that's
that'll get the heart rate up, huh?
Absolutely. Both Bud Black and Don Mattingly adjusting their lineup cards.
Well, Mark Kotze, Matt Kemp kind of pushing him away. Now Mark Kotze is trying to get the attention of somebody. Mark McGuire's in the middle of it.
Yeah, the coaches and managers, they're trying to pull their players away to keep them out of harm's way. Kemp was really in turmoil. Josh Beckett trying to hold him off.
Bench coach Trey Hillman doing a little talking there to Josh Beckett, as you mentioned, Dick, and Buddy Black. Both managers ready to resume this game.
Amarista will be the pinch runner for Quentin. Veteran Capuano, a regular in the rotation last year, 33 starts, is 12-12 with a solid ERA, 3.72. Alonso the batter, a single and a strikeout tonight. So the only other apparent player that's been removed from the game, Matt Kemp and Greinke. Quentin for the Padres. There may be more. We'll wait for any changes or news from down on the field. Capuano, one of the brightest men in Major League Baseball, a Duke University graduate. Clever. Looks like Eric Stoltz, a lot of different speeds and angles and breaking pitches from this man. Two and 0. Well, you had to go through the experience of coming in, because of an injury or whatever, having to, warm up on the mound. It's got to be tough.
It is tough, but it's a good thing because you're getting used to the game mound. With Capuano, been on that mound before, he knows all about it. But the other luxury is you get to take as much time as you want. Usually it's 8 tosses and then you send the hitter up, time to go.
On the outside corner, 2-1.
But yeah, the heart rate's up, the adrenaline's pumping, especially what just happened on the field. Capuano, fastball, changeup, curveball, and a cutter. Mid 80s to maybe 90, 91 on the fastball. He'll also throw a cutter along with that slider.
2-1. Dodgers lead. Amarista at first, no one out.
course, probably warnings now given to each team after that skirmish.
Yeah, anything that's going to be even close to hitting a batter might deserve ejection now, because it'll be very strict in interpreting anything that seems to be retaliatory. 2-2 now. Alonso with Jerko on deck.
Hey, you learned something long time ago. You don't know the whole story until you talk to the people involved. And then you try to evaluate the situation, what's going on. I always tend to go back to Zack Greinke, the score, the game, where we're at. His last intention was to put a base runner on with a 2-1 game.
I think you're right. That's you've got to factor that in as you're doing your detective work. Why would he want to put the tying run on? Carlos Quentin led the league last year, only playing half a season and being hit. Sure, he holds his ground and pitches that come inside, but he doesn't back off. I think that being hit 2 games ago, factored into the emotion of that exchange.
Could be.
Just staying alive, Alonso. Castellano is 34 years of age, well traveled. Came up 10 years ago, Arizona, then Milwaukee for several years. The Mets, and then the Dodgers last season. He's a solid performer, 12-12. Phi Beta Kappa at Duke in economics. In the dirt, goes all the way through the wickets, and Amarista turns at second and holds. See how they score that. They went right through the legs of H.A. Ellis. So the tying run in scoring position with no one out.
Looked like Ellis got down on both knees there. Just didn't get the glove down in time.
Wild pitch is the rule.
And a break for the Padres. Yep, didn't get his glove down.
You think that's a pass ball?
Did it hit before his glove? If it hit before his, yeah. I think that's a wild pitch then.
3-2 Alonso. Line drive. That's going to fall for a base hit in center field. Here comes Amarista around third. Schumacher up with the ball. Plays at the second. The game is tied. Alonso delivers. It's 2-2. Third RBI of the season for Alonso. His second hit of the night.
Lefty on lefty, down and away. He just spanks it that way. Hands back. A lot of upper body. Didn't really get a chance to drive that ball, but hit it perfectly. Remember now, no Matt Kemp out there. That's Skip Schumacher.
Jed Jerko, the hitter. Fastball.
The Padres are fired up. Got the fans up out of their seats.
Alonso was really disheartened last night, having a chance to win the game in the 9th inning, and he just was inches off. He said he saw the ball well. He got the pitch he wanted, then popped it to center field. Delivers here, so it's 2-2. Fastball with some movement. Just missed. Jerko grounded into a double play, walked and scored. So the Padres' 2 runs tonight have come through pitcher wildness. A 2-out walk to Jerko in the 4th. A single to Hundley, and then the wild pitch scored Jerko. And here in the 6th, the hit batsman leads to the run with a wild pitch thrown in to put the pinch runner Amarista in scoring position for Alonso's single. Another pitch in the dirt.
A good recognition by Jed Jerko, laying off the last 2 pitches. Off speed, down and away. That last pitch, a changeup down. Working the count in his favor.
Padres finally eating away at that early 2-0 lead. The Dodgers on the 2-run homer by Adrian Gonzalez in the first inning. Red hot Nick Hundley on deck. Ball 4. And that moves the go-ahead score into scoring position. Alonso to second, and the walk to Jerko. Nick Hundley, a double and a single tonight. 6 for the last 6 for Hundley. Second baseman Ellis way over near the bag, and no pickoff try by Capuano. But he squeezed over there in a double play position, which opens up the right side of the Dodger infield for Hundley. Gonzalez way off the line at first. Now Ellis skips back to a more normal position, and good ball. Hundley off-speed pitch.
What off-speed pitch is this inning since Capuano has been in the game? Well, hey, let's face it. Anybody you want up in this situation is Nick Hundley with the way he's swinging that hot shillelagh. With the way he's locked in, lefty on the mound. Pretty big gap in right center field. You got Skip Schumacher playing on the shortstop side of second base out there.
Jumps in front, 2 strikes. Dale Thayer off the bench and will start tuning up in the Padre pen. Another foul. Well, the first series of the season, the Dodgers and the Padres, high-spirited. You don't usually see a baseball fight the first week and a half of a season. It usually comes with a toll of an entire year, and you get into the heat of August, and the tempers are really short.
And you know what I look at when you look at the big picture. You know, the Padres 2-6. Quite frankly, the first 8 games can have a little bit of a lull. Be anxious to see how this how the team reacts after that bench clearing brawl.
2 strikes. Hundley waits. 2 on, no one out. Got him off speed, the changeup, and Hundley finally taken care of by Dodger pitching after 6 consecutive hits.
And as I mentioned, a lot of off-speed pitches from Chris Capuano. That's the changeup down and away, perfectly placed.
Yeah, that's a big league pitch. Cameron Maben is fouled out and grounded out. Man in scoring position both times that Maben's come up, and he has a chance to drive in a run again. He had Hundley at second with 2 outs in the second fouled out. He had Hundley again at second with 2 outs, and he grounded out in the 4th. Now he's got first and second, 1 out. Chance to break the tie. move, but Alonso alert. Helped out by Glenn Hoffman, his coach at third.
Now, if you're Cameron Maben, you just saw Nick Hundley get off-speeded to death, right? Cameron Maben, he might be having to think off-speed here, right? Stay inside that baseball, try to drive it to right center field. I know you have to look for the fastball and then adjust accordingly. Off-speed.
Shallow in center, long run Schumacher. Oh, he makes the catch.
Double play.
And an easy double play as Alonso was running all the way. He thought it would drop. A double play, and the Padres advantage only 1 in the 6th. We're tied at 2. One run and a brawl in the Padres 6th.
You got up to get a snack. You missed one heck of a 6th inning. Mark Sweeney, Mike Pomeranz with you. When we see in a post-game show, got to talk about the melee that preceded this delivery by Yonder Alonso.
Yeah, you got to love clutch hits, and especially after an emotional situation in the game. But Yonder Alonso, lefty on lefty, coming up with that big hit for the Padres.
Got ourselves a brand new ball game, Dick and Mark. When we see in a post-game show, we'll break down all that happened. You're going to hear perspective from the players as well as the manager, Buddy Black, and a good chance Mark Sweeney will teach us a little something about how to play the outfield wall in our instruction. We'll see after the final out.
Maybe you need an instructional tomorrow on what to do in a baseball fight.
When it's a scramble, it's no fun.
How do you protect yourself? And the Padres ran themselves into a double play to close out the 6th inning. Alonso figuring that ball would drop, but Schumacher making the play rather easily for an 8-4 double play. Cashner stays in. 1-1. Plate umpire Sam Holbrook.
Yeah, probably telling Andrew Cashner, just as a reminder now, both teams have been warned after the bench clearing.
This is a time where, if you're a little bit wild, you're in trouble. 2-1 pitch is lifted to Amaristo. Stays in the game in left field for Quentin. One away. Schumacher batting in 10th spot. One out, and Adrian Gonzalez steps up. Gonzalez with that long home run to right field in the 1st inning, with Crawford aboard for the 2 runs for the Dodgers, who have stranded 9 men tonight. They left 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 3 in the 4th, and 3 in the 3rd, and 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 5th, facing Jason Marquis. Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Sweet spot.
What's impressive to me is how Adrian Gonzalez kept that ball fair. Mark Sweeney can break it down probably on the postgame show, but getting those hands quickly through out in front and then the barrel traveling, because if the barrel is ahead of the hands, you're going to hook it and it's going to go foul.
2-2 now to Gonzalez. 95 with that Cashner fastball. He's topped out at 98. Retired the side in order. In the 6th in relief, Jason Marquis. So it's his game. Greinke charged with 2 runs. One on a wild pitch by Greinke, and the other the hit batsman that came around to score. Ground ball to third. Ransom positioned perfectly off the line. 2 away. 5 straight. Knocked down by Cashner.
Tell you what, you talk about scouting reports, spray charts, where a hitter hits the ball in the air, where they hit it on the ground. Cody Ransom, he was dead in his tracks. That ground ball right there. Why? Because Andrew Cashner pitched him in the right area at home plate, enabling him to hit the ball right where Ransom was playing. So credit Andrew Cashner for hitting his spots.
Andrew Ethier with 2 out, spaces empty. 0 for 2, a pop-up and a strikeout against Marquis, also with a walk. Change up to start the sequence. He worked on that all spring, and he's thrown some good ones.
Yes,
tonight.
he has.
Threw a good one to Gonzalez, 2-0. 96 inside. Somebody barking from the Padre dugout. What's wrong with that one? Might have clipped the edge. Line drive over Ransom's head. Amarista hustles to the line to field quickly and hold Ethier to a single. Andre Ethier's first hit of the night. The 8th by the Dodgers. And the first off Cashner.
He stays inside the breaking ball. Looked like it was a breaking ball from Cashner. Usually righty on lefty, you're going to pull that ball. He stays inside it nicely. Held to a single.
But Black coming to the mound with A.J. Ellis due. He's got 2 singles and a walk. Dale Thayer has been throwing, Balsley is to the mound. Dale Thayer was throwing earlier. Ellis. It's been a tough out for the Padres. The 2-run home run last night was key in the 4-3 victory for the Dodgers, and he's 2-for-2 tonight with a walk. Balsley apparently wanted to be sure that Cashner was in tune with how they want to pitch to Ellis.
A little refresher course on the scouting report, you bet you.
And Luke Gregerson getting ready in the bullpen.
Throw over a few times. Have Gregerson get some more tosses out in that bullpen, maybe.
Luke with a win on opening day. 1 pitch, 1 out, 1 win.
How about Andrew Cashner? That last pitch, free and easy delivery at 97. Good looking fastball in the outside corner.
Ethier coming back with a little skip and a hop, and that play was closer than the Dodgers want to see. Ethier not a big base stealer. Cashner keeping him close. The 96.
That's 96 with movement, yo. The ball tails on the inner part of the plate. Tough to catch up to, coming right at you. That's some serious fuzz, as Buddy Black could put it.
Ethier stole only 2 bases all last year. Line drive. Cabrera can't get up in time. A solid shot to left, and A.J. Ellis 3 for 3 and a walk tonight. Thought Cabrera was going to get that, but he leaped up and the ball went right through him.
Kind of tough to tell from up here, but I wonder if that was a knuckleball off the bat of A.J. Ellis. Well, being 5'8" doesn't help.
Well, apparently, Bud Black's going to make a double switch here. Chris Denorfia jogging out to center field will replace Cameron Maben. And Luke Gregerson comes in from the bullpen to pitch to Luis Cruz or a pinch hitter. So after 5 straight outs, Ethier a single to left and A.J. Ellis a solid single over Cabrera. And Luke Gregerson beckoned from the bullpen. We're in the top of the 7th. 2 out, 2 on for the Dodgers, tied at 2.
For Petco Park. And as a reminder, Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week with another 3 great matchups as the Braves take on the Nationals in a showdown between NL East rivals, or the defending World Series champion, the San Francisco Giants, battle the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field, or the Rays take on the Red Sox. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Chevrolet, returns this week at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Get your baseball fix right here on Fox.
You've developed a whole new theme. You want to get some bonus points for that. Gaslamp District awaiting the conclusion of this game, and the fans pour out to enjoy the nightlife here in our great city. Plenty of action. A 2-2 tie here in the top of the 7th, and Luke Gregerson, who is not allowed to hit in his 3 game appearances of the season. And on opening day, right man at the right spot, got 1 pitch, 1 out, and the Padres scored a run the bottom half of the inning, and Luke Gregerson with his first win of the year. Against Luis Cruz, 1 for 3 tonight. Strike 1. Venable moves from right field to center field. Denorfia comes into the game in right. Amarista stays in left. Put Denorfia in the pitcher spot. He'll bat second in the bottom half of the inning. Lifted in the air. Behind second base, Cabrera. Well, it took him 2 pitches to get the final out of the 7th, and he would be the pitcher of record if the Padres score in the bottom half. bit of everything tonight. 2-2 tie and baseball brawl instigated when Quentin hit by Greinke, the starting pitcher. And when the dust cleared, 3 Dodgers ejected Greinke, Matt Kemp. I don't know what he was angry about, but he was furious at something. And then Jerry Hairston, he initiated a second possible skirmish when he charged from the third base side over to the first base side. He also was tossed along with Carlos Quentin.
Hey, I look at that list. Big key for both clubs. Carlos Quentin, you lose that pop, and Matt Kemp, he is out of the lineup now. Skip Schumacher taking his spot, so no Matt Kemp batting in the lineup the last 2.5 innings.
The Padres, Cody Ransom to start the 7th with Chris Denorfia on deck. Capuano floats up a 75-mile-an-hour change for a strike. Ransom has popped up and grounded out.
You almost have to be looking off speed against Capuano, Dick. So a lot of off speed pitches.
Big sweeping curveball at 73. Left-hander on the mound. That's again an off-speed, 80 miles an hour. It was a big night this day in history for, some would argue, the best left-hander ever in baseball. Warren Spahn won his 328th game, winningest left-handed pitcher in baseball history on this night, 1963. And Ransom still seeks his first Padre hit, 0 for 10.
Hey, mark it down your calendar. Get to the park early, day after tomorrow, Saturday, April 13th, when the Padres host the Colorado Rockies. First pitch is 5:40. If you're one of the first 25,000 fans, you're going home with one of these. A Chase Headley bobblehead presented by Fox Sports San Diego. Don't wait. Get your tickets today. Padres.com or get on the horn. 619-795-5555.
Yeah, be sure to get out here early. You don't want to be left without. Silver bat, Chase Headley, bobblehead down. Denorfia's first at bat. Chris is on a 6-game hitting streak to start the season. Batting at .444, 3 doubles, 3 RBIs. Another off-speed changeup. Is he throwing a fastball this inning?
I was just going to ask you the same thing, Dick. I don't. If he's thrown a fastball since he's been out there, taking the place of Zack Greinke in the 6th inning, I missed it. There's one.
And at 90 miles an hour, so some zip. Everett Cabrera, leadoff man, on deck. Bounces that one. Another off speed. So Capuano came in after the baseball brawl with Amarista running for Quentin at first base. He wild pitched Amarista to second, and Alonso singled in the tying run. Then he walked Churko. Came back to strike out Hundley and get Nabin to fly into a double play. Now a strikeout Ransom to start this inning. Base hit. Denorfia, 7 straight games. He has developed into a real tough hitter. You get the feeling every time he comes up, he's got a chance for a base knock. That's a sharp single to center.
His confidence is just skyrocketing. Gotten better and better since he's been in a Padre uniform. Using the whole field, that's the one thing that sticks out to me. Remember, a few clutch hits to right field. Here, staying back just enough to send that one into center field.
Everett Cabrera, bunt single in 3 trips. Batting right-handed, a rarity for him this year. Not many left-handed pitchers. Bunted left-handed for the base hit last time. Outfield drawn up a few steps at all three positions, so that opens up a wider gap in left and right center. Ooh, almost threw that away. Gold glove of Gonzalez keeping that one possibly the stands. He pushes the bunt this time. This is going to be interesting. Another hit. Beautifully placed. Cabrera back-to-back bunt singles. Denorfia to second with a chance for the Padres to take the lead here in the seventh.
How about a big inning right here? The push bunt. Boy, getting late over to first base is Mark Ellis. And with the speed of Cabrera, no chance. Adrian Gonzalez could not find the handle. Everybody is safe.
Even if he fielded it cleanly, he wasn't going to throw out Cabrera.
Yeah,
So,
Ellis wasn't over there in time. You're absolutely right.
well, Venable, a couple of strikeouts and a flyout. Lefty against lefty. Inside fastball. Quentin, of course, would be next, but Amarista batting in that spot. Good base speed on board for the Padres with Denorfia at second, Cabrera at first, and the fastball. Well, this is an unusual piece of scoring. They're ruling a sacrifice for Cabrera and an error to Gonzalez on that play.
Strange.
They may want to look at the replay of that and reconsider.
Yeah, because I thought initially there's no way that Mark Ellis would have gone over to first base in time if, in fact, Gonzalez fielded it cleanly and threw it first.
Nub foul. So for the moment, no hit for Cabrera, but a sacrifice. E3. One and two to Venable. Strike three, the third time tonight. Venable strikes out.
Well, after Capuano starts going down, 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 all three pitch, he gets a high strike.
Three strikeouts for Capuano.
Hey, Dick, regarding the ejections, we received word that through MLB.com that one of the names on the list that they report being ejected was Zack Greinke. We're not really sure about that. We're going to have to wait and see until after the game for the official report, because with the way he was talking to the trainer and the way he was reacting, he kind of walked off with the trainer. So we're going to have to wait and see if in fact it was an ejection or if he was out because of an injury. We will get a report for you in the postgame.
So stay tuned to Padres Live. There's a lot to clean up after that brawl. Perhaps we can get comments from Carlos Quentin. Jesus Guzman will bat for Amarista as Bud Black uses the right-handed hitter against the lefty Capuano. 2 on, 2 out here in the seventh. A 2-2 tie. Bud Black pushing all the right buttons with his pinch hitters on opening day as the Padres win at 9-3. And here comes Don Mattingly to the mound. And with the pinch hitter announced, Mattingly's going to go to the bullpen, it would appear. Go righty against righty.
Well, Matt Guerrero looks like he is ready to go. If Donnie Baseball Don Mattingly is going to make the change. Oh, candlesticks are nice. Make a good gift.
Now he takes the ball from Capuano.
And we'll find that dead chicken. So Gonzalez can break out of his slump.
On this Thursday and tomorrow night, Friday, the first of a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies with John Garland going against the Padres' Tyson Ross. Garland beating the Padres up in Denver last weekend. And Tyson Ross looking for his first Padre win. And then on Saturday, it'll be Edinson Volquez against Jolice Chacin, and Sunday's matchup on Military Sunday, Clayton Richard and Jorge De La Rosa. Now going back to the baseball fight in the 6th inning, Greinke being attended by the trainer, and they're working on that left collarbone area. And it's where he took the blow from Carlos Quentin when Quentin charged to tackle him. Greinke turned away from his pitching arm and took the blow on that left side. Try to get a report on if there was any injury. Guzman, first ball swinging and sends a fly ball right at Andre Ethier. So the Padres get a couple of hits in the 7th. Can't bring one home. It stays at 2. Fox Sports San Diego, brought to you by Petco, where the healthy pets go. And by Mercury Insurance. Get a quote, get 2 free Padres tickets at mercuryinsurance.com/Padres. I just handed a note by our broadcast colleague on the radio side, Ted Leitner, going back to the battle between Greinke and Quentin. There was a past history between these two. In 2008, Quentin was hit by Greinke. In 2009, the Royals against the White Sox, Greinke hit Quentin between the shoulders after throwing one high and tight in his previous at-bat. Quentin took a step to the mound but was stopped by plate umpire Bill Hone at the time. So you don't forget.
Yeah, a little bit of history there. Thank you, Ted Leitner, for bringing that over to us.
Gregerson to Justin Sellers. Kind of on his way on. 2 strikes on Sellers, the shortstop, with a pitcher's spot, and then Carl Crawford due.
Well, Greinke definitely said something.
Yeah.
To set it off. Oh, he took a blow, too.
And he's not, as you pointed out earlier, the best built guy at 6'1", 195. Fly ball right center field. Venable out there in the big center pasture with the first out. 8th inning, 2-2 tie. It's a big game for the Padres early on. They're 2-6. They'd like to be able to take a series from the Dodgers. Last year, San Diego didn't win a first series against anyone until May, so just to get some positive momentum going. Juan Uribe will bat for the pitcher Guerrero. Uribe with a home run to right field on opening day, a 2-run homer. Gregerson starts him with a fastball. J.P. Howell, left-hander. We saw him on opening day. Padres, a couple of runs against him in the 3rd of the inning. Slider misses. Veteran Uribe, only 9 at-bats, 1 hit, that home run. That's a strike. Goes to the slider on 2-0.
Got to be careful with the off-speed pitch in the zone to Juan Uribe. He's got a slider speed bat with a different type of slider out of the hand of Luke Gregerson. Tight biting slider, good tilt.
Fastball misses away. 3-1, 1 out in the 8th. Carl Crawford on deck. Takes a home run cut at almost every swing. There it is. Long and gone. You called it. He has trouble with a fastball, but a breaking ball right on his meal plate. Second home run of the series, and the Dodgers have a 3-2 lead.
It's middle in. Speeds up his bat. And just because he has a slider speed bat doesn't mean you can't throw him a slider. It was the location of the Luke Gregerson slider. He wanted it down away. He left it middle in, and he spun on it.
It's amazing. In the last 2 nights, 3 home runs by the Dodgers, almost all in the same spot in left field, and all just clearing the wall in left, but they all count for a run. Crawford, a single in 4 at-bats, so all 3 runs by way of the home run tonight for the Dodgers. They now have hit 14 home runs. The Padre pitching has given up 15 home runs in 9 games, and 2 to Uribe in the series. Center field, Venable for the second out.
Hey, you want the inside scoop on the Padres? Then catch Padres POV. This season, join Megan Levy as she highlights the ins and outs of the Padres from their point of view. Padres POV tomorrow at 6 on Fox Sports San Diego, presented by Sycuan Casino.
2 outs. Mark Ellis, the hitter. Slow coming to home plate. So Luke Gregerson, that's the first hit he's allowed this year. That's a big one. So Gonzalez in the first inning, a 2-run homer. And now the solo shot by the pinch hitter Uribe in the 8th. Last night it was a solo by Crawford and a 2-run homer for Ellis. And a 2-run homer Uribe on opening day. So 5 homers in the series for Los Angeles. And with the exception of Adrian Gonzalez's shot tonight, they've all just cleared the deck. First row homers. All 4 of them. Ellis 1 for 4.
You know, more fastballs tonight from Luke Gregerson. We saw 2 in a row there to Mark Ellis. Just a matter of getting that slider down and away to Juan Uribe. The difference in this inning.
Strike 3 called, but the damage is done here in the 8th inning. Juan Uribe off the bench gets a slider with the heart of the plate and hammers it out. The Dodgers lead 3-2.
To the bottom of the 8th. And as a reminder, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the San Diego Padres. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
College night at Petco, and the fans in between just enjoying the social activity out there, watching a good ball game with an extra Phillip not intended at the start today, and that's the baseball brawl that found Quentin, the pitcher Greinke, Jerry Hairston, and Matt Kemp all ejected in the first the fight and then the second push and shove. Belisario, we've seen him the previous 2 games of the series. He's the man who hit Carlos Quentin 2 days ago on opening day on the wrist. Quentin at the time was fearful that there might have been something serious, but obviously okay. Well, now the Padres, after finally tying it at 2, trail 3-2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Alonso with an RBI single the last time up, a 2-for-3 night for the Padre first baseman. Then Jerko and Hundley scheduled against Belisario. Power sinker.
One of the better ones I've ever seen, Dick. I mean, it's not only the movement, but it's the velocity as well. Mid-90s.
That was a good example there. Throw at 93, and it's not flat at all. Big dip. $24,610 tonight at Petco Park. Of course, tomorrow night, Friday night, party night is always here. Park at the Park. Saturday, bobblehead Chase Headley night. There's $25,000 a gift. Be sure to get your bobblehead. And then Sunday, Military Day against the Rockies. All three. Last tonight, timely home run hitting by the Dodgers. 4-3 last night, 3 of the runs on homers. 3-2 tonight, all runs on homers. Pops him up. Cruz at third. 1 away. Jerko has walked twice and hit into a double play. An hour.
That's when you foul off the shins or the top of your foot. That is a tough pitch to keep fair if you make contact with it.
In the right center field, that's dropping in a hurry, and a base hit for Jerko. Jerko spins a single to right with 1 out here in the 8th inning. Tying run aboard for Nick Hundley.
He fights off a sinker for Belisario. He wants it down there, but it's up. We've seen it all along. Any pitcher, you throw that sinker up, it's going to flatten out. And he fights it off nicely.
Hundley, a double, a single, and a strikeout. Terrific run of 6 consecutive hits for Hundley until he fanned in the 6th inning. Ball 1. 3-2 Dodgers here in the last of the 8th inning. Padres now with 8 hits on the night. 2 for Cabrera had 1 hit taken away. They may change that scoring, rolling an error. 2 for Alonso, 2 for Hundley. Arcatse had the big pinch hit on opening day. It's on deck. Gets away, not far enough for Jerko to advance. The pitcher spot is due next.
Need a good secondary lead here from Jed Jerko at first base, just like that ball moved there. That sinker, if he spikes it, 390 feet.
Jammed him, and that'll sail out of play.
And a broken bat for Nick Hundley, and what do you know? The bat boy comes out with a brand new bat. It's nice having a valet at the big league level, huh? Bat boy's responsibility at the bat rack. Nick Hundley's up. Okay, I'm going to be around the bat rack and know exactly where number 4 is lumber is. You hear that snap of the bat? Put your shirt on, right? Going sleeveless, Belisario, with the t-shirt underneath. I thought he was just the jersey, but he in fact does have a t-shirt on underneath.
Fouled at the plate, 2-2.
Well, there's more responsibilities for a bat boy than people realize, right?
No, the average fan says, "Yeah, I could do that." It's just, now and then you go out and you get a batter. It's the weighted rings, the rosin, the bats, the helmets. You got to be on their toes. Jerko tying run at first. 2-2 coming up to Hundley. He goes down swinging. First strikeout, Belisario. Here's Kate, the pinch hitter.
There's the sinker you were talking about, Dick. Keeping it down.
Kate 3 for 5 as a pinch hitter. And a career 306 hitter, a pinch batter. And with the announcement that he's in the game, Don Mattingly is going to go to the left-hander Howell, who's been working in the bullpen. J.P. Howell beckon. Belisario leaves. He's responsible for Jerko's single there at first base. Well, final game of this 3-game series, and in the first inning against starter Jason Marquis, Adrian Gonzalez lit one up deep to right. His first homer of the season and a 2-0 lead. Padres got a run back on the wild pitch by starter Zack Greinke to make it 2-1. And then in the 6th inning, Quentin hit in a bench-clearing brawl. And quite a skirmish here. Look at this pileup as Quentin charges Greinke. And then Alonso able to belt a single to right field to tie the game. Amarista running for Quentin scored, but then Uribe off the bench with a pinch homer into the first row and left over the leaping try of the 5-7 Amarista. And the Dodgers have the 3-2 lead here in the home half of the 8th inning.
Well, now left-hander, as Dick mentioned, J.P. Howell on the mound.
Now it's going to be Paco Rodriguez and not Howell. The young Rodriguez, real good-looking prospect. One of the youngest pitchers in the league. He did work a third of an inning on opening day and was wild. It's a very, you see that in unusual motion, as you pointed out the other day. He takes that ball out of the glove. He doesn't hide the ball well at all.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like the hitter would get a good look at watch out of the glove right up by the head there. And while Rodriguez is taking his warm-up pitch, just a reminder, join your Padres Sunday, April 14th as they honor the men and women who serve in the United States Armed Forces with Military Opening Day, presented by Northrop Grumman. Enjoy a special pregame ceremony before the Padres take the field against the Colorado Rockies at 1:10. Get your tickets today at Padres.com or get on the horn at 619-795-5555.
Always a special day for all of us, Military Day, and we'll be on the air 12:30 Sunday here on Fox Sports San Diego. Paco Rodriguez, the youngest of the Dodgers, who may be the most senior team in the National League. Did a little counting last night. Of the 25 men on the Dodger roster, 16 of the 25 are 30 or older. Not this young guy. Is he 22 yet? Lefty against lefty. Katse, the Padres senior citizen, against the young Paco Rodriguez, who will be 22 next week. Three-2 Dodgers. Jerko at first. First pitch swinging and a high fly ball to right, but the night air, it's heavy tonight. Will hold that one shy of the warning pad. Put a good punch on it. Couldn't drive it out. 9th inning we go. 3-2. and our Carlos Jr. star of the game. Off the bench, Juan Uribe, his second home run of the series, his second hit of the season, all home runs. And a 3-2 lead for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Uribe, the veteran, our Carlos Jr. star of the game. Houston Street hasn't had many opportunities to pitch. He'd like to be out there more, but the games have either been too lopsided to have him come on to do his specialty. And so this is only his second outing in 9 games.
Yeah, the last time that he was on the bump was April 4th in New York, believe it or not.
A full week.
Yeah, so I talked to Houston the other day regarding working out. He goes, you know what, I stay sharp by doing a lot of throwing in the bullpen. I've got to stay ready to go if needed.
Skip Schumacher batting in Matt Kemp's spot. He took over for Kemp when the starting center fielder was ejected in the brawl. Been up once and fly to left. And it's Gonzalez and Ethier. 3 left-handed hitters against the right-hander Houston Street. Juan Uribe giving his team a big blow off the bench. That home run to left. They moved the fences in. You'd think they did in left field as well. 3 home runs all in the first row, all by the Dodgers in the series. Actually 4. One might have made the second row. Two strikes quickly on Schumacher. Off the head of the bat. But the pitchers of record, Luke Gregerson for the Padres and Matt Guerrero for the Dodgers. Just missed.
What's up?
Guerrero pitched only one man, and he has a chance to win a game just as Gregerson did opening day.
Yeah, I was just trying to recall how many pitches Guerrero threw to record that fly ball to right field in the 7th inning. I think did Guzman, I think he swung at the first pitch.
He did. He did swing at the first pitch.
So he'd pull a Luke Gregerson if the score stays this way.
With it into center field.
Oh, he had him 0-2. Schumacher putting together a pretty good at bat. Wants it down and away. Now, I think that was the backdoor cutter from Houston Street, and he missed with his location. Single for Schumacher.
11 hits for the Dodgers tonight. 13 last night was their season high. And they had 10 on opening day, so double figures all 3 games. Indeed, Matt Guerrero threw one pitch and could stand to win this one. Gonzalez struck early. 2-run homer, his first of the season in the first inning. Changeup and fooled Gonzalez. He's flied out, struck out, grounded out after the home run.
Houston Street's in that bullpen, and he's watching the pitcher-hitter matchups. He knows that Jason Marquis threw Adrian Gonzalez some changeups, so he's got that in his memory bank to face him here in the 9th. There's another one.
Blocked by Hundley. Looking ahead to the bottom half of the inning for the Padres, they have Ransom, DeNorfia, and Cabrera scheduled. guessing we're going to see the closer, Brandon League, who picked up his 3rd save of the year last night in the 9th, bottom of this inning. Fly ball, routine. And Guzman now in left field with a catch.
No changeup from Houston Street. Got Adrian Gonzalez out in front for the easy fly ball.
Ethier, a walk and a single in 3 trips. And Lee Jansen is now throwing in the Dodger pen, the hard throwing right-hander. So maybe it won't be Lee. Jansen, who pitched an inning last night and gave up a couple of hits, but no runs.
Remember earlier in the ball game we talked about Jason Marquis working from the first base side of the pitcher's plate. Houston Street doing the same thing. That toe in contact, first base side. There you see a good look. The foot just has to be in contact with that rubber, even if it's just where that pitcher's toe is on that shoe of his. Well, he's going to the extreme first base side there.
Runner goes. Fly ball back of 3rd. Ransom backing up. Might get a double play. It's going to be close and just scampering back. Skip Schumacher. Schumacher was running on the play, so he was almost to second base. So he had to hustle to avoid the double play. 2 out.
How close was it? You got to go in sliding. Oh, he was safe, but it was close. You got to go in sliding right there.
Yeah, look at Alonso's reaction. He thought he got it.
Yeah.
Very close. It's like when the elevator is closing, you just put your toe in there.
We don't encourage that.
No.
I know what you're saying.
H.A. Ellis, Padres haven't been able to get him out tonight. 3 singles and a walk. Hit a 2-run homer last night. Dodgers have made those home runs count. Padres trailed 4-1 going into the bottom of the 9th last night and got a couple of runs and had the tying and winning run aboard when Alonso flied out to end it. But Black hopes he's got some magic left on that lineup card for the bottom of the 9th tonight. Something about the Dodgers, and when they, whether it's home or away, when you play them, you're going to be around for a while. Opening day 3 hours 21. Last night 3 hours 22 minutes, and this one's about closing in on 3.5 hours tonight. A lot of attention being given Schumacher. A man who stole all of 1 base last year with the Cardinals. 1-1. Clayton Kershaw, he'll be pitching tomorrow in Arizona. The Dodgers go over to Arizona for 3. Slicing right field line and out of play. And the Rockies come here. In fact, they're probably already in town. Off day today after the Giants beat them a 3-game series up north. We'll send veteran John Garland against Padres Tyson Ross. Stay to the final out. You might take home a souvenir. 6:30 tomorrow night here on Fox Sports San Diego for the opening game of the 3-game series. Stay with us now. Lots to report in the Padres live postgame show. Quick pitch out, no action. Mike Pomerantz and Mark Swinney will try to untangle all the news created in the 6th inning by the fight, the ejections. Hopefully no injuries. 2-2. Back to the middle, and how does Street get his glove on that one? Almost knocked him on his backside. A line drive out. Good play by Street. Self-defense. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Solo pinch homer by Uribe in the 8th as the Dodgers lead 3-2 going into the bottom of the 9th inning. And in the 6th inning, Carlos Quentin leading off, hit for the 2nd time in the series, and there's some past episodes between Zack Greinke and Quentin, and then the pileup and some pretty good punches thrown in the process. When it all cleared, Quentin and Greinke were tossed, and so were Jerry Hairston and Matt Kemp of the Dodgers. And at least to this point, no injuries reported out of the melee.
And you want to stay tuned because we'll have plenty of reaction after the game on the post-game show. We'll be getting word from Don Mattingly's press conference along with manager Bud Black's reaction to the incident in the 6th inning.
And Laura McKeeman will be on the scene, try to get the comments from the Padre players as well, as always. 3-2 Dodgers, bottom of the 9th. Last call for San Diego. Wouldn't this be a good time for Cody Ransom to deliver his first hit as a Padre? He's 0 for 10, 0 for 3 tonight. Ransom against Kenley Jansen. Jansen pitched last night, the 8th inning. Gave up a single to Denorfia and Alonso with one out, but got out of it. When Katse's bid for a base hit to left field, remember, Schumacher made that diving catch that could have been a 2-run base hit. Hard throwing right-hander. Out of play.
Well, only one bench player left for Buddy Black of the Padres. That's backup catcher John Baker. Everybody else has been used. Amarista, Katse, Denorfia, Guzman. Scratch them off.
Dodgers actually have 2, Nick Punto and Ramon Hernandez. 93 up and in. Denorfia, a single in his only appearance tonight. Struck him out. Ransom overmatched there. One away.
Being aggressive, going right after him. Is it the cut fastball? You betcha. A little bit of movement. Elevated. Just a little bit of movement away and swung on and missed.
Denorfia then with one out here in the ninth. That's going to sail into the stands in the lower deck. Denorfia with that pinch hit in the 7th inning, extending his streak to 7 straight games on this new season. 4 for 7 against the Dodgers these 3 games. Cabrera, 1 bunt single, should have 2, but the official scorer ruling an error on his second is on deck.
Dick, you know, you look at this game, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but remember yesterday's game, it was just a couple of pitches, right? Once again, the home run to Adrian Gonzalez and the one hanging slider to Uribe.
Archer's using the home run ball, and you mentioned it earlier, the big differential. The Padres have hit just 3 home runs this young season, and the opponents 15 now.
Fastball away here, probably cutter.
Oh, that was in the middle of the plate, but sky high on the infield. Third baseman Ruiz for the second out. Now it's up to Cabrera to keep it going. Padres Live coming up right after the game. Much to assimilate. Lots of base runners left. The Dodgers have stranded 12, the Padres 8. Padres have had chances down bottom of the order, but Cameron Maven and Cody Ransom 0 for 7 with Maven in scoring position 3 of his at bats. Ground out to second, line out to right, a bunt single, and then what has been ruled a sacrifice, error 3, and what appeared to be another bunt single in the 7th. Lifted back out of play. So with those 2 bunt hits for Cabrera, Luis Cruz playing well in on the grass at third base. And Adrian Gonzalez, you can see first base, he's off the line. It's a little surprising. Should the Cabrera pull one over the bag to position himself at second base with the tying run.
So Gonzalez banking that he's not going to be able to turn on that Kenley Jansen fastball. That's why he's probably off the line there at first.
2-1.
But you're right, though. If Cabrera cheats a little bit, he gets a cutter in, turns on it, you never know.
Slider there, 2-2. Dodger fans here among the 24,610 down that left field line by the Dodger dugout. standing, looking for one more strike and to take the rubber game of this 3-game series. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Line to left, and there's Crawford for the out. Another 1-run win for the Dodgers. 4-3 last night, 3-2 tonight on Juan Uribe's pinch home run in the 8th inning. So the Dodgers take the series. Mike, what's coming up? Well, we kind of know. Get your fist clenched.
You're right. Drop the gloves, boy. We will break down everything that happened in the 6th. And as you mentioned, stick around. You're going to hear not only from Buddy Black, but from Don Mattingly. All that and a whole lot more coming up in just moments on the postgame show.